Ladies and gentlemen, we're a few minutes late, sorry. We're multi-streaming on X and Rumble. It's massive bandwidth on our end, so hopefully this all works out really well, but it means all three have to be synced before we can actually start the show, lest one get cut off. We got some big news. Tonight is history. It is the presidential debate, Biden v. Trump. The first time a former president will be debating the sitting president for the next term as president, and it's going to be exciting. We've got some breaking news coming from Real Clear Investigations. Apparently, the White House press corps is concerned they're not being allowed in the building because they fear a medical emergency might actually happen. This is very, very weird. And I just want to say, Gavin Newsom is a surrogate for Joe Biden. And if he runs out there and saves Joe Biden, you all owe me a Coke because I've been screaming this for how long and you all called me crazy. I'm kidding, by the way, but it will be interesting. So we got a great crew here tonight. We're going to be talking about a bit of the stories. We're going to be just generally talking about the news as we wait. In the next hour, 9 p.m., the debate will begin, and we will have for you live commentary, criticism, and fact-checking in real time for what is history in the making. And I want to stress, there's been a big controversy around CNN claiming that only they have the rights. On X, numerous streams to the tens of thousands. On YouTube, on Rumble, everybody is running what is history in the making. So this is beyond fair use. It's going to be the most important thing you've ever watched. Now, I will stress, if you want a clean listen to just debate, you ain't getting it here because we're going to be making jokes. We're also going to be fact-checking. If you're here to watch Timcast IRL, that's what you're going to get as we comment, criticize, and fact-check this debate. That's a different show, and I want to stress that. Before we get started, my friends, I want to give a shout-out to Rachel Holt. Head over to song.link/Rachel. Rachel Holt's got a new song called I Was Gonna Be. It's Based Records. We are in a culture war. We are building culture. And this song is a pro-life song from the perspective of a child whose life was taken from them. It's a pro-life message. Buy the song on iTunes and Amazon. We wanna push all this new culture from people who are trying to make music, make shows, and of course, Based Records is doing some of the best work there. So if you buy Rachel Holt's new song, if you support the song, maybe, just maybe, with all of your support, a pro-life message will make it to the Billboard charts and will have an impact. So, we're hoping just outside of all of that, whatever your politics may be, we can build an alternative ecosystem for building culture. Also, don't forget, head over to timcast.com, click join us, become a member. We're not having a members-only show tonight, but as a member, you are supporting this show. And considering the legal weight of this election cycle, with the VP cycle, with the debates, and with the lawfare, we've already been sued once this year. We need your support more than ever. If you want to see this show continue, if you like the work that we do, please become a member because, we're multi-streaming tonight for a reason, because there are already threats to take us down. If, for some reason, someone abuses the DMCA system while we are live on YouTube, it shuts us down for a week. Of course, that's why we're multi-streaming. So I don't think that'll be the case because we are certainly within our legal right and fair use. So we will be providing our First Amendment protected commentary, criticism, and fact-checking. It's going to be a blast, but become a member, smash that like button, share this show right now everywhere you can. Ladies and gentlemen, we got a big crew tonight. Joining us as our principal guest is Primetime 99, Alex Stein.
Make sure to get some Cash Brew coffee. That is Joe Biden's secret tonight, but sadly it is a laxative, so he might poop his pants.
Well, I hope not. I guess everybody knows who you are, so that's
Pimp on a Blimp, yes. Are you kidding? Timcast IRL regular, guys. Let's go. Pimp on a Blimp.
Shane Cashman's hanging out.
What's up? Happy to be here. Host of Inverted World Live. We go live every Sunday at 6 p.m. Happy to be here.
Phil, of course, is hanging out.
Hello, everybody. My name is Phil Labonte. I'm the lead singer of the heavy metal band All That Remains. I'm an anti-communist and a counter-revolutionary. How are you, Hannah Claire?
I'm good. I'm ready to watch history in whatever form it takes tonight. I'm Hannah Claire Bremmel. I'm a writer for SCNR.com. That's Scanner News. Thanks for all your support. Hi, Serge.
Yo, let's get it, yo.
So, all right. So we are waiting this eventful hour for the debate to come up, but we do have some interesting news. Check this out. Paul Sperry from Real Clear Investigations posted, White House press corps has petitioned CNN to open up the debate studio to reporters who for now have to watch a feed from a building across the street because they believe there may be a medical emergency involving one of the presidential candidates requiring on-scene coverage. Okay, when I saw this, I said, no way. No way. And then I checked. Paul Sperry's a senior reporter for Real Clear Investigations, a New York Post columnist. This is not some random dude. This is a reporter for a well-known, very credible organization with 500,000 followers reporting this. What is this concern that journalists have?
It's fair.
It's fair concern.
Fair concern.
I think you paid him to say this. I think you want to tip the odds in your favor. You want everyone to have to give you a Coke.
Maybe. So in November, I was like, my scenario for how they swap Biden out is Joe Biden is doing a rally in California and he's waving. He's like, we got to win. Come on, man. And then he's talking to the audience. He's like, we stand here and he like grabs his chest. Gavin Newsom throws his jacket off, rolls up his sleeves, runs out, grabs Joe Biden, starts giving him chest compressions, and he's like, get out here. And then Joe Biden's fine. It was a minor cardiac event, they would call it. But Gavin Newsom will be the man who saved the president's life. He would go on tour on every major network. And I'm not like that literally will happen. I'm just saying if the CIA had a plan for how you can swap out Biden, that's the way to do it, baby. Yeah. For the reporters now to be like, this might happen, and this is the White House press corps, how much you want to bet? I'm just saying. I don't think it's going to happen, but if it were, some CIA guy is going to tell the reporters you need to be there for this because we need the coverage of this happening. Now that they're actually like, CNN, let us in the room. There may be a medical emergency we need to cover. It's like, and Newsom's there.
CIA has their heart attack guns from the 70s. You know, they're really good now.
No, Shane, you bring this up. I have to say this. Let's put on the tinfoil hat. This is similar to the 1969 Apollo moon landing missions where they weren't allowed to have a feed of it. They had to film the feed. So there is something weird when they're trying to like not let them have access to the feed.
Biden is a simulation.
Well, maybe. Or maybe he's Jim Carrey wearing a mask. I don't know, but we will find out tonight, I guess.
Some of it makes me think it's like a Hail Mary last minute thing where they're like, well, but maybe there's a reason that we should be in there because probably they would have been fighting these rules from the beginning. I mean, they could have raised any number of complaints every single day, but today is the only day we're hearing this medical emergency thing.
Yeah,
I just want to come out and say that I think we went to the moon.
Oh, Phil.
Yeah, I don't. No, I'm a moon landing denier.
What a controversial thing to say
Phil
in this
believes
room.
in space.
And clouds, I've heard.
Oh, my.
Speaking of, Tim, you said... Well, we had to take over the stream real quick because, you said that you were going to, on the show, you said you were going to pay for me to go to Antarctica.
Yes.
They're doing a thing called the Final Experiment. Listen to this, Tim. You guys think I'm all crazy.
Set you guys off, though.
It is.
Yeah, thank you. Way to trigger.
Now I'm all triggered. There's supposedly a 24-hour sun in the North Pole, but they're doing an experiment on December 18th. If there's a 24-hour sun in Antarctica, it proves the shape of the Earth. I know it sounds crazy, but you have to send me to Antarctica. December
we should
18th.
live stream
You said that, so...
Okay.
Are you going to send me there?
Yes.
Okay. Well, we're going to Antarctica to prove the shape of the Earth now.
Do the logistics.
Oh, no, I got it. No, Google it. It's called The Final Experiment, and it's this
It's like flat earthers or...
Yes, flat earthers are going there with round earthers, Dave McKeegan and this guy, Jaron Campanella, and they're going to go discover the shape of the Earth, and you're going to send me, and we're going to prove that it's not what they say it is.
They're called globulists.
Globulists, yes, you globe heads.
You're not allowed
globetards.
You're not allowed to wear regular pants. You have to wear shorts.
No, not in Antarctica. No, we're going to the military.
But you can't climb the ice wall.
Winter right now.
I'm climbing the ice wall. I'm going to the ice wall.
I know you are.
But you're saying you would go in like January?
No, you go December 18th. You have to go.
It's the summer down there.
Yeah, it's the summer there. Yes,
It's actually like 60 degrees. No, I'm not
but
kidding.
it's still cold. It's still snowy. I'm pretty sure.
It is.
Yeah,
it is.
Obviously.
This was wild because we had on. I can't remember the guy's name. He was actually he's what's the guy's name who does the he tracks solar flares and stuff. We don't on Culture War. Ben?
Yeah, we did it with Corsetti.
Right, and he pointed out that there are glaciers in Indonesia at the equator, and I was like, what? And he's like, this is not a conspiracy. This is the truth. And I was like, for real? I was like, Google it. And I did. Yeah, it's high elevation.
Yeah.
So glaciers that, for whatever reason, are at the equator where it's warm. High elevated, and the idea is that when the tilt of the Earth, when the Earth shifts its tilt, the cold sections move to the warm sections, but the high elevation ice won't melt for a very, 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 very long time. And so there's actually glaciers in Indonesia. I don't know what this has to do with the politics of this country.
Well, because we're talking about the moon landing. Yeah, let's get back to the politics. I'm just saying Tim Pool is going to prove the shape of the Earth, and I'm going to do it for him.
Hannah Claire, when you're talking about all the reasons they could have brought up, it reminded me of going to the GOP debate in California where they made all the journalists sit in a tent off-site. There was a few select people able to sit in the front row and watch that one. So it just seems like, I don't know, it could be a ploy for them to be like, hey, we need it in there because this is a momentous event, not just because it's a convicted felon for the first time debating a pile of skin, It'll
be fascinating to see for sure. I mean, I could understand where if you're the White House press corps, you're like, you mean you make us talk to Corinne Jean-Pierre every day and we don't even get to be there for this? Like, I would be mad as well.
For sure.
But, the reality is, I don't think anyone expects Joe Biden to be in top condition. And so the fact that the press corps is like we actually think something bad is going to happen, I would feel pretty nervous over the Biden campaign.
When do you think the methamphetamines wore off during the State of the Union? Was that like an hour in? Because he started kind of strong for Biden,
And he was late.
Or Biden.
and then it wore off at some point in. So I'm curious to see what he's on today and when that wears off. It's a good game.
I agree. And that's why I'm wondering if I mean this in all seriousness, he's going to have at a commercial break,
Yeah.
because they're giving him water. We're not going to see it. He'll grab a couple of, you know what I mean?
Totally.
Yeah, you think he's going to take it like that? I bet he's probably like shooting it up. They're probably giving him like, you know how you do the NAD drips? They're probably
But
giving him.
they're not allowed to confer. So I wouldn't be surprised if they were like, take this right before the debate. At the first commercial break, take your next one. At the next commercial break, take your next one. And that'll keep you steady.
If I were Trump, I'd ask to make sure his water bottle was sealed before he walked out on stage.
That's actually a really good point, too. They
Because
could just mix in.
Doesn't that count as performance-enhancing drugs?
Yes.
right.
I mean,
There's no rule against performance-enhancing drugs
I don't
in
want
debates,
Sammy
right?
Sosa
not.
on a debate stage.
Yo, what's wild is the corporate press has been claiming the right is pushing conspiracy theories that Biden is on drugs. And it's like, he's an 80-year-old man. I mean, why is it a conspiracy theory? It is a hypothesis that an old man requires medication.
Yeah.
They probably both are.
I grew up watching The Simpsons, and Abe Simpson had his little thing full of pills for all of the days, right? Like, this is a normal thing to understand that older people take a variety of medications.
I take Prilosec twice a day.
What does that do?
It's for acid reflux because of my singing. It messes up my
Oh,
voice.
right. Yeah, right.
But, you know,
Performance-enhancing drug. I see.
performance-enhancing drug. There you go.
Yeah,
Prilosec
exactly.
twice a day so that way I can sing and not blow my voice out. You know?
I mean, it's just the mainstream media who's like, you guys are assuming it's illicit drugs. Like, no, everyone assumes there
Right.
is some doctor that will give Joe Biden whatever he wants.
Wouldn't it be funny, though, if, like, at some point in the debate, you see Biden, like, reach in and pull something out and put it in his mouth, and it's just like Advil?
What do you think the effect?
And then
would
everyone's
be?
like, that's it. But
It'd be funnier if he dropped it on the floor and went after it. That would be hilarious. Like chasing
what
a
would the
pill down
effect-
the.
What would the effect be if Joe Biden just started vaping in the middle of the debate?
No, you should
he
say
would
vape.
win Gen Z.
That's the
He'd
young
win.
vote.
He'd
You
win
should
the
be like his
Xbox
son
vote.
and smoke crack. I wouldn't be surprised if you just took a little hit of crack, medicinal crack.
I was thinking
that was-
that the commercial breaks were going to act as his handlers coming out like NASCAR people, you know, to do the tires real quick and then just walk away.
But they can't,
what do you think?
right?
They can't at
Which
all.
is fascinating.
Trump should ask him if he wants to go to a strip club after the show.
That would be something else.
Didn't they say that he spent the last week practicing standing up? I mean, I don't know if that's a right
No.
conspiracy. That's what they said. Yes, he's been in Delaware just
I've
working
heard-
on walking to a podium. I'm
Yeah,
not.
he's been at Camp David practicing the whole
David,
thing,
yeah.
but they do have him stand. I mean, I don't know how different that is from typical protocol.
But how much you have to practice standing? You just
I mean,
stand
I
up.
think
What?
When you're a Frankenstein
That's the
monster.
thing. Like, does this tell us that actually he has some kind of vertigo, right? And he's going to potentially just lose balance and
No.
fall over?
They've got. Here's you get this thing, right? It's a small metal device that you unfold, and it goes in your pants and around your waist, and it provides extra support at your feet.
An
You can-
exoskeleton, basically.
But these are real things.
Yeah.
They're not hidden, but you can actually buy these things. I don't know if they ever took off, but you wear it around your waist, and when you lean back to sit down, legs come out and you sit down. All they got to do is do that, but in his pants, so when he leans back a little bit, the weight goes onto these stands, and yeah.
So that's what he's practicing.
Yeah, how do you
use that contraption?
exoskeleton leg thing? Yeah.
Exoskeleton.
I think they're afraid of a Nixon thing happening with the 1960 debate, you know, where he was all nervous looking and sweaty.
And
The
Jeff
audience-
had makeup on and looked
That was
all
because
nice.
it was the first time it was TV. I imagine they're going to, granted, there could be something where he just looks bad because of his performance, but it's not going to be where like he physically looks bad.
He had been in the hospital too. No one knew at the time.
Yeah.
But he was
and
not well.
in those debates,
Shaved.
Yeah.
anyone who heard him over radio thought Nixon won.
Yeah.
Right? So,
Right.
but the fact of the matter is, unless they can jump cut this as we're going, I don't think there's a way to convey that Biden has serious energy.
Right.
It's just not in his wheelhouse if they haven't, given him some kind of other technological advantage.
I hope the first thing we see is just Biden sitting there with a grin with his pupils dilated as wide as possible. He's like, I'm ready to go.
I call that possum Biden. So he
Possum
looks like
Biden.
a possum at night. Do you think they're going to shake hands
No, I don't.
They're supposed to, theoretically.
They didn't?
I don't know
Right.
that they will.
during the first one, right? Because of COVID. But I wonder if they will now.
There's also supposed to be, there's no opening statements this time, which is kind of interesting. They're just going to kind
Wow.
of get
Well,
right into it.
the last thing they want is to give Donald Trump an opening statement where he could just rail Biden, because Biden has plenty of things. Everyone knows what Biden's going to say about Trump. He's going to talk about January 6th, most likely. That's going to be the thing he focuses on most. He's going to say you're a threat to democracy. It's very, very, it's very easy to predict what Biden's going to say. Donald Trump might call him an a-hole, or he might make a remark about him, pooping his pants or something. You never can tell what Donald Trump's going to say, and I strongly believe that's why, because he might say something hilarious that everybody remembers.
We should start placing some bets. Like, how many minutes in does Joe Biden reference January 6th? How many minutes in does Donald Trump bring up illegal immigration?
That's good, yeah. When is
we
his
kind
first
of know
slur?
what's coming, but
Okay, well, guys, the New York Post is a drinking game. The Post's official drinking game for the 2024 presidential debate between Trump and Biden. All right, let's see what their plan is. Now, they're very adamant. Like, make sure you drink responsibly and have water, because telling people to get drunk during the debate, some liability to say, whether you're Democrat, Republican, or Independent, whether you support beer, wine, or liquor, grab your preferred beverage and a copy of the rules and tune in at 9. All right, what are the rules? What do we got? Oh, it says play for money.
Oh, hey.
For bragging rights.
What you really should
You're
do
drunk
is
and
everybody
rich.
should have
need a
water, but
bingo
you lock
card.
the bathroom.
Every time a candidate references the election being the most important of our lifetime, do the same with the phrase, take a sip of water. Okay, this is interesting. Take a sip of water if they mention the most important election of our lifetime, or say inflection point from Biden, or Trump says not going to have a country. Then drink if, whenever the camera pans to Jake Tapper and Dana Bash, why? That's stupid. Don't do that. That's dumb.
they're making you drink water then? They're like
No,
trying
no.
to make sure you
that's
stay hydrated.
alcohol.
That's alcohol.
Oh my
You get
gosh.
wasted.
A sip of your drink. Every time Trump says crooked or Biden says, come on, man, that I agree with. Whenever Trump references the Biden crime family, agreed. Whenever a candidate uses a 3-letter acronym, when Trump brings up migrant crime, when either candidate brings up the border, it says, take a shot when Biden refers to Trump as a convicted felon, when one candidate interrupts another, but their mics are cut off. If a candidate wags, they can still try to, though. If a candidate wags his finger at another candidate while making a point, if they, when either candidate brings up a border, they already said that one.
Where's the part where if Biden's teeth fall out?
And that's happened before. That happened at the Democrat primary. He turned around and started fidgeting because he was.
What does he have, dentures? Is
Yes.
that- Oh, wow.
He was talking and he was like, "You're all," and it happens to Nancy Pelosi too. It starts slipping, and then he turned around and straightened and pushed him back in or something.
They're career politicians. Why wouldn't they have a more permanent fixture in their mouth?
Yeah, that
When you get old enough, it's just
You can't stick any kind of false teeth in. You just have to have a denture.
Clones don't get new teeth. like that.
I'm not sure about implants.
Like
or bridge-
veneers, right?
Yeah, but
Wouldn't they be able to do that?
Veneers go on your teeth.
Oh,
yeah,
I guess they're
and
implying they're
implants
less.
screw into the bone, and at a certain age they might just say you're not going to recover well enough from it, so they just recommend dentures.
Probably one of those things we have to do before a certain age if you're getting.
How much would you pay for Joe Biden's dentures if you could get a set of them?
None.
You'd have to pay me to take them.
You know someone would pay,
wanna
pay like
know-
a
Oh,
can you
crazy
grab
ton of
those?
money
Can you
for
You
it.
want to know how much he would pay for it? Grab.
Oh, sorry.
Here,
I don't know.
pass them down, and we'll bring it around. I don't know. Alex,
know for sure, but I guarantee if he went
wanna
and
hold
got-
that one up?
got like
Prison
nice
coin.
veneers, it'd be like 75
So
grand.
heads
Veneers you pay a
Biden,
lot for.
tails Donald
Yo, guys,
Trump.
check this out.
Our coins are here.
Hilarious.
So I'm holding right here President Donald Trump on a coin. We can't really zoom in or anything. Here, hold on. Hold up Alex's camera. There you go. Look at that. Which one do you got? Back it up. Now down a little bit. There you go. There's Trump in prison. Now flip it around. And there's Biden being sworn in. Now take this one, Alex. Here, take the other one. We get. Okay, wait. Here you go. Here's the other one. Wait. There you go. There's Trump being sworn in, and on the back. Move to your left. There you go. A little bit up. There you go. Now flip over the Trump one so they can see the back with Biden in prison. These are awesome. Whoever made this is a genius. I saw that commercial and it was like, get your president for prison coin with Biden being sworn in and Trump in prison, or Trump being sworn in with Biden in prison.
My favorite thing is they're silver plated.
No, my favorite thing is they're like the 2024 edition, meaning like this will just be something we do from here on out.
It's true though. Why not?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yo, who do you have for the president for prison 2028? It's like Vivek Ramaswamy and Pete Buttigieg. I don't know.
It'll be like with the
Gavin
Super Bowl
Newsom.
when they make a bunch of stuff that like is like, oh, this team won, but actually it's the other stuff. So they have all this other merch that they like throw away or ship
goes
to another
to Africa,
country.
all this
Right, we're gonna have
garbage.
all these like coins that are actually the other one. Although in this case, you know, they have fixed that by just producing both set of coins.
Actually, it's really interesting because remember that newspaper that's like what did it say? Truman loses or something? Truman defeated. Was that what it was?
And then
And he was holding it up when he won, and they printed the wrong newspaper because they print them in advance.
Wasn't there something like that with Hillary Clinton, too?
Yes. They actually printed Hillary Clinton, Madam President magazines and sent them out. And they didn't have one for Trump because they were like, Hillary's going to win. And then she didn't. And so it's like a collector's item now.
Well, not to make it about me, but that was what kind of woke me up about the election when they said Hillary had a 99% chance to win the election the day of in 2016, and she got killed. I'm saying that what showed me the news is
I love
obviously
watching the
fake.
needles
Yeah, I mean-
on New York Times website, all in favor of her. And then
Yeah.
throughout the night, just going.
Well, we all watch those playbacks of like CNN or MSNBC
Yeah.
where the commenters are getting like, they're like, yeah, everything's great. And then as the hours go on, they're like, yeah, I don't really know what's happening. I can't really explain it. Like there is actual sort of defeat in their eyes, which is sort of fascinating.
Beautiful.
It was fun.
It was a time. I mean, it really was living through history. And I think that's also why this debate is so fascinating, because we have two presidents of the United States facing off again, having already done this, and they both could potentially seek re-election or be elected to office. Like, it is wild to me that this is the circumstances we're in, especially after all of the narrative, like, everyone's too old and we need young people. And now we have a 78-year-old and 81-year-old. But let's more sentences.
You know what's even
let's get
crazier?
the
You know Bill Clinton is younger than Biden and Donald Trump?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Younger than Trump?
Yes.
Whoa.
And look how bad Bill. Yes, Bill Clinton, 76. He looks terrible.
What? He's 77 years old? Yeah, he's a little bit. He's like just very. Isn't Trump, what, 78 now?
Just turned 70
Right.
like 3 weeks ago.
Wow. Let's grab the rest of this drinking. I want to see what they're talking about. All right. So they, if they promise not to touch entitlements, they want you to take a shot, I guess. It says take 2 shots whenever Trump calls Biden sleepy. Wow, that's bold. Every time the word Russia is mentioned, it says take 2 shots when Biden asks Trump and Republicans what are they for. This is nuts. It says take 2 shots when Biden asks Trump what are they for. When he says he's proud of convicted first son Hunter. Whenever Trump calls Biden sleepy. If either candidate brings up Hunter's laptop. Chug your beer if a candidate calls for the other to be jailed. If either candidate looks like they're falling asleep, well, that's just going to be Biden. Finish all the liquor in your cabinet if Trump and Biden actually agree on something. Dude, no. They're obviously going to agree on stuff. That's silly. I'm sorry. New York Post, I get your point.
They're going to agree on.
Trump's going to say something like, look, we want everyone in this country to have affordable health care, and that's our plan. It's a very, very generic, and Biden's going to say, well, I completely agree. Of course we do. And that's a very generic thing to agree on. Of course they're going to agree on stuff. They're like, human beings want stuff. If Trump went out and said, I think Americans should have access to clean drinking water, and Biden was like, agreed. Like, we're not going to drink our liquor cabinets over these like simple things.
Well, you remember in 2020 during those debates, they said Biden had kind of like conservative viewpoints then. I mean, they weren't that conservative, but I guess more middle of the road. So,
Yeah.
I mean, he's going to do that to appease to the right, but
His policies have changed so much.
Yeah, and I don't think that Biden will mention Hunter's laptop. I think there are certain things that it's very unlikely that they bring up. I think he knows if he brings up you're a convicted felon, Trump will answer back with your son is convicted. I mean, it is interesting that there
Trump
is sort
should
of
bring up the fact that he can't even get convicted. You can't even stand trial.
Yeah, he's incompetent to stand trial.
Yeah.
And I do think Trump should bring that up only if Biden brings up you're a convicted felon. Trump could respond with, no, well, that may be, obviously we're appealing this, but Joe, you were found incompetent to stand trial for crimes you were accused of.
Yeah.
What's the response? I'm hoping that Trump does the what when Biden says something like Gerdijal Schmidt or something like that.
Who do you think is going to start off being more aggressive? Like, do you think they'll?
No, Biden, for sure. Yeah, because Biden does this thing where, look, he's old and he's feeble, right? Trump is spry and sassy, but Biden is old and feeble. So Biden tries putting on this he puts on this aggression to try and seem strong. It doesn't work. Yeah. If you're a 35-year-old guy and you exercise and you're standing up and you just talk like this, look, when I get in office, I am going to be working for the American people. It shows a booming voice, its strength. You're standing upright. Biden can't do that. So he goes like that, come on, man. And he tries to come off as like aggressive to make it seem like he's got energy behind him. It just looks like old man yells at cloud.
Yeah.
That being said, Trump doesn't need to do that because Trump does the boisterous, smug, listen, I'm the best everyone knows. And he doesn't have to put it on. It's Trump.
Yeah.
Biden is going to be more aggressive and Trump's going to be like, well, Joe, actually. But we'll see. Maybe I'm wrong.
Joe did get mad at that TikToker
Oh, he's been mad a bunch of
Yeah.
times.
He gets mad. Like he really has a problem with his temper. And it's historical. Like I mean, it's something that he's done multiple times. Back in the 90s and in the 80s, he's gotten
Just ask Clarence Thomas.
Yeah, he's gotten feisty with people, and it doesn't come off well when he does either.
No.
He doesn't. It's not like he doesn't come across as like assertive and strong. He comes off as easily shaken, especially now at this age.
Yeah.
There was a report that came out a little while ago, and I can't remember the publication, that talked, it was like behind the scenes staffers talk about the fact that he'll sort of fly off the handle. And I think it is interesting because at the time, I think a lot of people were like, people with dementia or, you know, who have some kind of mental issue sometimes become more emotional because they're confused. But Phil's totally right. There have been sort of a history of Biden having a short temper. And I wonder if you're already nervous, you're already agitated, you know, they're both used to being the public eye, but it is a tense moment for both of them, if you'll be able to keep that in check or use it in a way that makes you look good. I just don't think that's possible here.
And if you're on amphetamines, that you're even more
you're ready.
irritated.
Yeah.
You know, you're easily pissed off, I guess. So
He's a grumpy guidance counselor with dementia.
What's something that you think they will not bring up tonight that you wish they would?
Maui, East Palestine. You know,
Yeah.
Well, there was another thing in there was another train derailment or something today. I tweeted about it. Yeah,
Illinois.
it was.
Illinois.
They actually spoke. They mentioned something about like long-term damage, and they were evacuating people. I didn't look much more into it other than to just poke at Buttigieg because it seems like this is a recurring theme with him while he's out there taking care of his new baby. But this is something that is the Biden administration has been plagued with incompetence. Karine Jean-Pierre is incompetent. She is terrible at her job. He's had multiple people fired, like that one guy that got fired for theft. Then there's other people that got fired for some other indecent behavior because they were trying to hire LGBT people that were essentially unique. They were hiring tokens that were outwardly LGBT so they could look like they were, look how inclusive we are. So the Biden administration has been plagued with problems the whole time. I mean, the amount of bad things that you can come up with for Joe Biden, I mean, Trump could go for 2 hours straight and not finish.
I just want to mention real quick to follow me on X at Timcast. That will be important for tonight, just so you know. If anything happens while you're watching and you're unable to watch, just look for updates. I will tweet out what's going on my Twitter account at Timcast. Just saying. Anyway, continue.
There. I wonder if Biden's going to hold Assange over Trump's head. Because that's like one thing he could actually be like, well, you didn't pardon Assange, which I agree with.
He could actually say, you are the one who pulled him out of the embassy and tried to extradite him, and we're the ones who let him go.
He could do that.
Yeah. It was a dirty move by the Bidens, but one I accept because Julian Assange should be free.
Yeah, I'm happy he's free, but he totally is doing it for the debate.
Yeah. A lot of things went into this. I want to give a shout out to the Libertarian Party. The Libertarian Party was talking to people in the Biden admin about pardoning Assange. And this had to do with when they invited Biden and Trump to the Libertarian Party convention. And when the Libertarians nominated Chase Oliver and then all the Mises Caucus started saying they were going to vote for Trump, I have reason to believe this played a role in the Biden admin being like, we got to get this resolved. But I think the principal issue for them was they don't want Trump to be able to get the leverage from Assange. If Trump takes office with Assange effectively in U.S. custody, Trump will make Assange spill the beans.
There was also something about there were emails or something from the DNC that Assange has given over, or something
gone.
that they're
They were
not
deleted.
They got rid of them. So essentially, the Democratic Party or maybe establishment Democrats in DC now got assurances that they, or at least got access to the stuff and got assurances that things that would embarrass them got deleted. I mean, I don't know if Assange actually deleted it or not.
Right.
Hopefully. Because he gave a copy of everything to Glenn Greenwald.
Yeah.
So I don't know that he actually got rid of it. I don't know that he could be sure. Hopefully, whoever actually does have it, or if whoever has a copy, hopefully they were smart enough to hide it. And if Trump wins and gets into office again, they can go ahead and put all that information out there. So that way we can see what exactly is it that you don't want people to know about. What exactly are you concerned about? And honestly, considering the fact that they're trying to get, they went after this stuff now, I'm confident that I feel confident assuming that it is about people that are either currently in the administration, as in Biden and his family, or people that are well-known and well-connected in the
WikiLeaks,
Democrat Party.
like 7 years ago, really saw that stuff about the surveillance state.
Yeah.
I would love
And
to see
a
what's
bunch
next.
of other stuff about some pizza parlors.
Oh yeah,
and a bunch of weird stuff.
I know. I want
Yeah.
to see all that stuff, and whoever has those copies should make more copies of those and dig them in holes and hide them.
Let's pull up this story. We're now 28 minutes out, but before then, we have this is a wild story. TikTok user says Walmart grocery bill nearly quadrupled in just 2 years. This video is epic. I'm just gonna let this dude speak for himself because the way he talks about it, coming from like a regular dude, it's something else.
I feel like I'm gonna be sick. I just looked through my Walmart history, and I found this Walmart order from 2 years ago for the whole month worth of groceries. 45 items cost $126.
I want to pause real quick. It said EBT. You saw that? This is not a rich dude.
Whole month of groceries just for me, basically. But I did notice this reorder all button, and I wanted to see how much it would cost now. Now? This order of 45 items for 1 month would have cost $414.
That's reason enough for Biden to
That
lose.
is
Absolutely.
4 times
This is what
more.
people care about.
Yeah.
But understand this. This guy, look, in the beginning, you can see when he pulls it up, EBT,
Yeah.
right? That's food stamps, isn't it?
Yeah, that's exactly
So-
what it is.
My understanding is you only get like $200 a month, some like really low number. That means this ain't cutting it no more for people.
No, not at all. There's no way. The amount of the inflation that people are feeling now compared to 4 years ago, to try to tell the average person, no, it's all in your head, they're going to look at you and they're going to be offended and they're not going to vote for you. Democrats cannot win by saying, you poor people that are suffering, you poor people that are hurting, shut up, because it's more important that Joe Biden get back into office than Donald Trump because he's a racist Nazi bad man. He's very orange and he's terrible. They're going to listen to that and they're going to say, you do not care about me. You do not care about my needs. The only thing you care about is you being in government power and you having access to that power. That is not going to fly with the American people.
Phil, have you perhaps considered that maybe World War III, a 300% increase in your food costs is worth it if it means no mean tweets?
Yeah, I mean, look,
Mean tweets, they kept me up at night.
Such a good point.
It's true. It is very true. We haven't seen any mean tweets at all of the people that were getting mean tweets. There's been plenty of mean tweets. There's been threats of F-15 attacks, and he's called half of America a threat to the soul of this country, and he's insulted every single conservative out there. He's called, he's as vitriolic as Donald Trump ever was. Mm-hmm. But at least he didn't insult the New York Times. Thank goodness. You people make me sick.
And he's sending bombs everywhere with our money.
Yeah,
He loves it.
I think we should make the American people pay extra for that. I think that would make Joe Biden happy. And if we can
course.
keep Joe Biden happy, it's all worth it, right? I mean, this is the sort of the thing that I hate most about the Biden administration, which is that they claim to be of the people, right? They say, oh, well, Trump was a billionaire and he's unfair and he's mean and he doesn't know anything, whatever. And we're here for you. And they always talk about, anything that happens, they're like, well, it's congressional Republicans that are holding everything up. Meanwhile, every single day, life is getting harder for the average Americans. And Joe Biden is obsessed with the fact that he needs to stay in the White House. He doesn't actually care about serving the people. Not a lot of politicians do, but it's particularly egregious here when he'll go back to Scranton and say like, oh yeah, I grew up here. I'm just regular Joe. It just seems so sick.
He doesn't have the capacity to lie like that anymore. He might have been able to get away with that stuff 20 years ago, but now, I
can't keep his lies straight anymore.
He can't. I heard CNN. I don't know if it was CNN, but I heard one of the more mainstream channels, legacy channels, talking about the fact that Joe Biden does have a problem telling the truth, whether it's corn pop or his uncle's a cannibal or whatever.
He lied about
his uncle.
He lied about everything.
Cannibal.
Oh, okay.
He lied about his law degree, where he graduated. I mean, he'll lie about anything.
Like,
Yeah, but guys, the most base thing ever is lying that your uncle was eaten by cannibals. Like that is a story you want Grandpa to tell.
is
My
awesome.
uncle crashed. He said that his uncle was a pilot who crashed, and they never found the remains because he crashed somewhere where there's a lot of cannibals.
Unreal.
Which was like, are you saying your uncle was eaten?
That's when I was like, maybe he's from a different timeline. And that's why his brain is mush, because time travel is tough on your brain.
Joe Biden.
Yeah.
Joe Biden probably has a lot of friends that drink human and eat human blood, and
He knows all about it.
Yeah, I mean, he knows.
That's what's in those papers.
Yeah, that's not even unusual to Joe Biden.
Well, actually, one of the interesting things is that the audio recording of his conversation with Robert Hur over the classified documents in his garage. And for whatever reason, the DOJ won't release the audio of that conversation, just this transcript, which, as we all know, when Joe Biden misspeaks, the White House edits the transcripts. So it's fascinating when you see Joe Biden read the prompter specific, like when he says pause and then keeps going, they don't put it in the transcript. And when he says the wrong place, they put the right place in the transcript, which means this conversation he had with this prosecutor is likely not the real conversation. What's in those recordings? They won't give them up.
Yep. Highly edited.
It's like Dick Cheney and George Bush got to do the 9/11 Commission report, behind closed doors. They're obviously, when they talk to these presidents, we're not gonna get the real story,
All
what they
these
really
things.
said. Yeah, I mean,
Even the church committee, there's so much they didn't do, that we don't know about. And I loved that happened. But all that's behind closed doors. The UAP stuff that happened a few years ago, when it got to the juicy stuff about underwater UAPs, like, we got to talk about that behind closed doors. I'm like, that's what I want to hear, though.
are they going to bring up aliens, you think, during the debate?
Ooh, I doubt it. But he has talked about it recently. Trump, that is.
They might, though, because
Illegal ones.
well, yes, but I mean, like extraterrestrials and UFOs might come up. It's an hour and a half, but it might come up because CNN knows they got to throw in some of that WWE stuff.
Yeah. It is Thursday Night SmackDown.
Clickbait.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
I would love it if they brought up UFOs.
But I think they're going to try and play it very boring.
I think so. It's going to be probably more boring than we expect because of the muted mics. It's going to be hard for Trump to interject the way we would love him to.
Yeah, I think it'll be more interesting when he does, because there's no way Trump makes it through a whole 90 minutes without making any kind of side comment, regardless of if his mic is on or not, which means it'll just be distracting to Joe Biden.
Yeah.
You're going to get a moment where Joe Biden's trying to deliver a monologue straight to the camera, but he keeps hearing that Trump is talking to him. And that's sort of hilarious, Like, the thing about presidential debates is that I don't actually think that you have a substantive discussion of policy, right? It's not like we're like, oh, your points are interesting, and maybe if we worked on this, like, it is about the personality showdown, and Trump is the bigger personality in the room, especially if Joe Biden is as fatigued as we all believe that he is at this point. I mean, he is different than he was in 2020 and 2016, and I think that's where Trump knows he has the advantage, because ultimately his personality is distracting to Biden, who is emotional about it. I mean, if anyone believes Orange Man is bad, it's definitely Joe Biden.
When you say he's different, you mean because they're replacing him with a clone every few days?
I would only speculate. I'm not sure. But it does seem like he is not the same Joe Biden that was in the Senate.
I really enjoy watching Trump debate, but I was watching older debates where they actually did have real conversations about policies and real numbers and stuff. Like the first Nixon-Kennedy one is kind of amazing. They do agree a lot in that one. You're like, well, I agree with this person and that, and the American people are silent, the audience is quiet, and people are engaged. And it's just, you can see the slow decay of that when you get to like Bush, Gore, there's like laughing and condescending.
I'd actually really like to see a presidential town hall, where they have both candidates there. It's a little less structured, and also they take questions from a live audience, because I just think that would be the biggest contrast between the two. Because ultimately we know that Trump really thrives when he has people to talk to, when he's entertaining and he can see them. And I think there is a reason that Joe Biden doesn't do a lot of press conferences, that he always seems to be just speaking to reporters and very infrequently, right? You would see the biggest contrast in that setting, in my opinion.
Yep.
I mean, I don't know how charismatic Joe Biden is in I mean, I don't know how charismatic Joe Biden is. I'm sure that compared to Donald Trump, he's probably like, a shoe. So, because Donald Trump is hilarious. But at the same time, like, I don't feel like you can actually achieve that kind of level of success in politics, even to get to be a senator. Like, I don't feel like you can achieve that kind of success unless you can, make people feel like you do have their interest, because you at least have to be able to nail down donations and stuff like that. So you have to be able to do some kind of interacting with people and have to be somewhat personable. But when you're contrasting it with a showman like Donald Trump, someone that is genuinely an outgoing, wants to be funny, wants all the attention kind of dude, I think that it would show clearly. I mean, look at the way that the camera follows Barack Obama around when they're together. Joe Biden is like, they don't even give him a second thought. They don't care.
Like a pet puppy.
Yeah, it's
Well,
like
he has to be let off the stage, right?
it's always on Barack Obama. No one cares, and you can see the frustration on Joe's face. So I imagine there would be something similar if he were to be in a situation like that with Donald Trump, because, again, he's not a compelling person. And the only reason that he is even the president is because he's not Donald Trump.
Right.
Like,
Would Donald Trump get bonus points if he helped walk Joe Biden off stage like Barack did?
I think
Would that help him if he
I
was
think
like,
it might.
I think it would.
I think it would get under
I
Joe's
think-
skin.
Yeah, it would. Yeah, he'd definitely do that. He'd
That's
be
what
like
he
that.
should do. Act like he's his paramedic or his helper, and
Well,
just
do you
try to
think
get
there'll
him
be a
off
moment
stage.
when Trump is like, "Are you okay?" You know,
That would be smart.
You know,
Are
just
you having
being
a
like-
medical emergency, Joe?
I'm sorry, Joe. Are you okay? I'll continue, Joe.
Well, didn't Trump recently or his campaign say that Biden was a good debater at one point? Like they
He said
like,
worthy
Biden-
debater. And there, I mean, Joe Biden is a career politician. He did, he's done vice presidential debates. He debated Trump last time, and I know a lot of people feel like Trump that came out too hot, and there were bad moments there. This is where I go back to. Joe Biden doesn't even seem to be in the same condition that he was when he took office. It really seems like this is different. And I know this is, any left wing media listening is like classic conservative thinking Joe Biden's better. Like it's everything about him. It's not like one day he had a bad press conference. It's like clips of him at random, even when they light him correctly, even when they give him a scripted answer, he just doesn't seem to be the person that was running with Obama and doesn't seem to be the same person who was running in 2020.
Think about how much Obama aged after 4 years, and this guy aged rapidly.
And his family is stressful. I mean, at least Obama had two daughters
Sure.
who were in high school. I'm sure that's stressful in its own right, but
Yeah.
he has had all of this stuff. I mean, Hunter Biden alone has this crazy custody battle with his baby mama.
Wow.
He has a whole, he's got multiple legal issues going on. There is no relief if you're Joe Biden.
I got to give a shout out to The Onion for this joke back in 2020 because The Onion sucked back then, but they still nailed it with this. Stress of presidency already ages Biden 10 years, and it is a rotted corpse.
I mean, that's what I see today. That is today's Joe Biden.
Yo, I can't believe The Onion actually made this because they've been pretty garbage for a long time.
Didn't they just get bought too? And they have their fellowship out right now?
Yeah, it was by someone like Ezra Klein or something like that.
I don't know.
One of the nerds from Vice or something like that. I think.
you're
This
right,
is
yeah.
this is based AF though.
That's great.
This is a good one.
Do we think Trump announces his VP tonight?
Here's the thing. Trump said his VP is in attendance. He says my VP pick is in attendance. That doesn't mean he picked a VP. So let's say Tim Scott, Vivek, and JD Vance are all hanging out.
Right.
And he knows it's going to be one of the three. He goes, my pick is here.
I think they are all hanging out at the RNC, right?
You don't think Burgum has a chance, Tim?
I do, but I think it's the wrong choice. Absolute wrong choice.
Even though he has the most political success, probably of all those for those four people you just named, or three others.
I suppose the reason you'd go with Burgum is that you're trying to get older, run-of-the-mill people who are just like, I remember the 90s. Maybe boomers and silent generation who are going to vote. That makes sense. It does. But I'd still say that I don't think I think Tim Scott's bottom of the list. I like the guy, but I don't think it works. JD Vance, I would probably say is probably the best right now, but not my first pick. Honestly, I'd pick Vivek, but I also know that Vivek probably doesn't play politically as well as Burgum does. So it is tough.
I don't like any of them.
I like JD Vance.
Yeah. I wish he had a better pick. I don't know who.
It might be Burgum. It really might be.
I just think it's going to be Burgum just because he's a billionaire. Trump respects that. I think he's the only of those four that's won.
And he can spend money.
Exactly, and he knows where to get the political donations. So
They don't need donations.
But still, I'm just saying he's connected. He knows the top of the top. If you're a governor of a state, that's a huge deal. So I just think that he would be the safe choice too. I like Vivek, but Vivek also is probably more of a loose cannon or wild card compared to Burgum, and maybe he doesn't want that. But
And it's not totally clear who Vivek's constituents are all the time. Like, he is really interesting. He's burst on the scene. A lot of people like him. But if you are elected by a state, you know the region at which you're representing. And with Doug Burgum, I do think it's interesting that, he's sort of this Midwest. I mean, I don't think you actually count Dakotas as Midwest. I don't really know. But this sort of agricultural, he is a billionaire. There is something there that other candidates don't have. I also think I like JD Vance the best out of all the names that have been floated around. There are a lot of other options. But I think with Burgum, if you are this populist president, picking a governor is sort of an interesting move. Like, I've heard the argument, somebody came on the show and made the argument that like someone who, like a senator is good because they would know how to use the Senate to best support whatever the administration's agenda is. But I think in terms of being like, I am a president for the people, governors are kind of more closely tied to the voting block, really. And so there is a symbolic nature. There is symbolism in picking Burgum.
To be honest with you, now that you mention it, like when you bring up the Senate stuff, I do think that having someone that has at least a decent knowledge of the ins and outs of how the sausage is made, I think that does matter, especially because he's going to want to actually have policy. Like, if he gets elected, there's going to be a lot of things that he's going to want to do. There's a lot of things that he's talked about doing. And if he's going to start, cutting back on the establishment, cutting back on the the bureaucracy and stuff, he's going to have to know how to do it because it's not as easy as just fire that guy, fire that guy, fire that guy. As much as I wish it was, they're going to have to do. They might even have to get creative to get rid of stuff and have Congress be able to pass laws to cut off funding or whatever and see if they can just get things to dry up. But if you don't have someone that knows that and knows how to do it, you end up with what you got the first term, which is a lot of his policies and his ideas getting stymied by people that knew how the system worked better than he did.
Rumble is down.
Yeah, I've been seeing that.
Entire
Did it
show?
crash? Because I'm looking in the
website,
chat.
Rumble is down.
The
Rumble is
whole
down.
website.
We got over
is down?
80,000 on.
Yeah, we had
YouTube right
we
now.
had 44, I think, on Rumble, but once it went down, when people's stream crashes, they can't reload it, and so there are still around 20 or so who are watching on Rumble. We have about 35K watching on X.
Sick.
So this is pretty based.
Sorry, Rumble.
Shout out to X. First
Yeah.
IRL
Based,
stream, right?
yeah.
To X.
Yeah. The thing about X is it's harder to track concurrence, but based on the metrics, if we compare their numbers and just do a little bit of math, we can see it's about 35K. YouTube is 81.
Sick.
A lot of people getting ready for this and watching, and really do appreciate everybody. Become a member at timcast.com. If you want to support our work, as we're about 10 minutes out from the beginning of this debate, I want to stress that every single major network is airing the debate on YouTube, and we will provide commentary and fact-checking in real time. In the event, for some reason, the show disappears off YouTube, make sure you go to x.com/Timcast, formerly known as Twitter. Follow me there now, and if anything happens, we will post updates there. We are also live streaming on X with no issues. Rumble, unfortunately, went down. We're hoping that they get things back up, but it has been down for a while now. But it is what it is. Just, we got sued already this year. Very political, very, very political. It should be resolved. I should say we've been sued more than once. And so if you want to support our work, timcast.com, because we rely on members. And we're 10 minutes out. I don't know what else is going on.
Well, one thing I want to bring up, and this is, I guess, non-political, but speaking of getting sued, what do you think about the Dr. Disrespect stuff, Tim?
What is that?
You don't know who Dr. Disrespect is?
I know who he is, but what's the situation?
So he supposedly got through.
I'm following.
I know, but just real quick, through whispers, he supposedly texted a minor, and he ended up losing his game company. It's been like the biggest story of the week. You haven't seen any of the Dr. Disrespect stuff?
Nope.
Wow. So he supposedly got in trouble.
We're in different worlds, Alex.
I know. I just can't.
My world.
Chat hasn't know. You guys don't know who Dr.
Of
Disrespect
course,
is.
I know who he is. But my point is, my concern was the coup that failed in Bolivia, and they arrested the general. Like,
Well, this guy's like the
I'm
biggest
looking at
Twitch streamer in the world, and then he's sexting minors, supposedly.
and I
allegedly.
stopped stuff.
I mean, that's disgusting.
Yeah.
That being
I've
said,
never
did you
heard
see
of
the coup attempts in Bolivia?
I'd like to talk about what Alex was talking. No.
Yeah.
Yo,
That's crazy.
They arrested the general. The president appointed a new military commander who immediately ordered the people to stand down. What people need to understand about military coups is that the troops involved in them usually don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
The commanding officer says, "Hey, we're going into the palace. Follow me." And they're like, "What's happening?" "Oh, it's counter-terror." And then all of a sudden, it's like you're in a coup, and they have no idea.
Obama's sister was in a coup too in Africa this week.
What?
Yes, she was attacked. Obama's sister was attacked.
Oh,
I don't-
that's right,
Yeah,
that's
at
right.
the embassy.
Because they were protesting over the.
I think it might be they might be overstating to say that she was involved in the coup.
Well, it
was
wasn't
the
really
one
a coup,
running it.
right? Like they were just it was large scale demonstrations against the
Violent.
legislation they didn't want. But there was tear gas and everything deployed. It was really funny because I would watch CNN coverage of this and they'd be like, "We're gonna go now to a clip of Obama's half sister talking," and it's like. What do you think this is going to do? Obama's going to parachute in and save them?
I wonder if Rumble's being DDoS'd.
Possible.
Yeah.
Very
Distributed denial of service. I was looking at their numbers, and it is not the biggest I've ever seen. It is possible that Rumble, being a small company, is having a harder time dealing with the overload. But Crowder had a way bigger stream before with like 500,000 concurrent viewers. Yeah. It's not that. It hasn't even got to the debate hasn't even started yet.
Right.
It would make more sense, in my opinion. Maybe not make more sense, but I think there's a decent probabilities chance that there is a concerted effort to distribute a denial of service rumble.com before the debate even starts. Because let me stress, if this is overloading Rumble right now, imagine how much their viewership would have been in 10 minutes when the debate starts. Yeah. But this is blocking Crowder and Russell Brand. And there's a bunch of other channels. Dan Bongino, as well as our stream, got knocked down. So
That's a bummer.
Yep,
Is Crowder's stream not up on Rumble?
it is. But Rumble's totally down.
Oh, the whole entire site.
Rumble is back
Oh,
running.
wow.
Some people are saying it's back up, and I can't load Rumble.
I think it has to be a bandwidth issue.
Yeah, but there's not like Crowder had 500,000 people watching one time. Like back in 2020, he had, I think, 90,000 right now. Bongino had 60. We had 44. Russell Brand had around 40 or some odd. It's not more than we've ever seen. And the debate hasn't started yet. So maybe, I don't know.
Maybe it's grown since then. There's more channels doing it. You know? I mean,
Yeah, that could be it. It could be it. It could be that they're, and also, yeah, maybe it's just resources. Maybe it's their network is leaner than it used to be because revenue or something. I have no idea. I don't know. It is pretty wild though.
I can't imagine being a tech company right now and having to deal with, your entire website crashing because people are getting ready to watch this debate. I mean, that really speaks to how impactful this is, that there are so many people going to all kinds of different platforms. It's not like there is a monopoly on YouTube right now. All of these platforms are attracting tens of thousands of viewers.
Yeah. Well, I'd argue that obviously YouTube still has a huge monopoly, though. I mean,
I think they're the most dominant for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I love Rumble. I like Rumble, but it's just not the same as YouTube, and it's just the infrastructure's not as good too. Like should be their biggest night, where so many users are going to be on their platform and it crashes. It's just YouTube would never. Has YouTube ever crashed him? You ever had a huge stream?
Yeah.
Oh, it has.
Yeah. So like a couple weeks ago, everybody got hit and all their numbers like live dropped to 0.
Wow.
Yeah, it happens usually when they roll out some kind of update or change, the whole thing just breaks. But X is rolling really, really well. Let me just do a quick bit of math.
They're on it on Rumble right now, that's what I'm being told.
So it looks like our concurrents on X are up to about 40K, 44K or so, 40 around there. Half. I'll just put it this way: it's about half of what we're on YouTube. So we're looking at about 44,000 on X. Impressed. It actually it could be a little bit more based on the fleeting structure that is X. Meaning, when a post on X passes your feed, you don't stick around and watch the whole time. Whereas YouTube is you go there and you just watch. What that means is viewership numbers would be way higher on X. Right. So based on the numbers that we're seeing, it looks like we have a pretty decent concurrent viewership on X. So
Rumble should be back up.
Rumble should be back up.
Yeah,
huh?
I'm seeing people talking about it on the.
I still cannot load Rumble.
Yeah, they're working on it. That's all I know.
They're working on it.
Biden and Trump need single memorable line to bring in the win.
So they say.
Well, that is true, because let's just say Biden strings together 7 funny words like "you should be in jail," kind of like how Trump did that to Hillary, and then you're gonna have Harry Season like retweet that and make a TikTok and take it out of context. Like, look at this win, Biden crushed him. So I think that's possible.
He's so strong.
And this is, I mean, I'll reference an Axios article I pulled last week. Or the viral battlefield is really what this campaign and this election season is about. Yep. The internet has taken hold in our media in such a way that, number one, CNN is like, no, only mainstream media is allowed to use this thing. And also, all of these candidates know, all of the people who support these candidates know that viral videos, memes, any moment that really captures something is what's going to matter. I mean, the commercial breaks, you're going to see people really pushing stuff, I bet. And also afterwards, like, people are going to want the thing they think is the one big moment to get more eyes than anything else.
Well, I do want to make this point. My buddy Donut has a big YouTube channel, but he calls it Memetic Magic, where there is something to that. Where
Donut operator?
Well, Donut Operator is a great guy too, but this guy's just called Donut, and he has a great channel where he talks about that. But it was basically memes. Trump got memed into office, basically. So there is some sort of superpower with that.
And there was that pro-Biden pact that just formed with Silicon Valley support, specifically looking into the algorithms to be like, why are conservatives, why are Republicans good at the internet effectively? I mean, I'm kind of paraphrasing what's going on there, but it is interesting that even though we know tech censorship and a lot of tech bias tends to lean in favor of left-wing or progressive causes, the right can just meme, and that makes it a very dangerous threat to Democrats.
Which is funny because Obama was so good at social media in the beginning, right? And they were all talking.
It was he was the first to use Facebook.
He was, right?
Yeah.
He used all the.
But he used it like that was in the early days before people realized you could be good at it.
Exactly.
It was a lot smaller.
Yeah.
And actually, a friend of mine who did political campaigning went to the Biden administration and said, "Are you using Facebook?" back before his campaign, and they were like, "What's that?" And she was like, "All the college kids are using it."
Wow.
And so this basically kicked it off.
Yep.
Like here's the thing about any kind of early adoption and early use. It's easy to look back and be like, man, it was so obvious. No, like there was MySpace competing with Facebook. There were Friendster before that.
Yeah.
Nobody knew exactly which one was going to be the one that took off. And so back then, it's easy to look now at Facebook and be like, well, why wouldn't you use it? Back then, it didn't matter. Right. It was just college kids. And then I remember when parents joined when the older generation and boomers were joining and the young people were like, oh no, our parents are getting on. It's not going to be. And now Facebook is just the parents. Like
Just
younger
yeah,
people have
yeah.
moved on.
Yeah.
Well, what's the new Pepe the Frog, though? You remember? I mean, Pepe the Frog became like a cultural icon. I wonder
Pepe's
what.
still pretty popular.
It is still
Yeah.
pretty popular, but you'd think there'd be like a new iteration.
Apu or whatever that thing is.
Yeah, Apu. And
That one's funnier.
Yeah, well, they're all kind of funny. The
Yeah.
Chad meme.
Yeah. The Chad meme. Oh man, we're 3 minutes away.
Why are they showing us major trauma center? Is that Biden?
Well, we're not showing this yet, so
Okay.
let's not. We're not pulling that up.
Okay.
We're just waiting for the debate. You know, they can do whatever they want.
Saw a hospital and got nervous.
Yeah, I am really
Yeah.
interested to see what comes of that, if there is anything new that we hear about, because obviously, we've been on the show and I haven't seen anything on Twitter
About the medical emergency?
Yeah, about the emergency at all.
Right. So for those that are just tuning in, Paul Sperry of Real Killer Investigation said the White House press corps has been denied access to the building. They're watching the debate across the street, and they are concerned that there may be a medical emergency with one of the presidents, or the presidential candidates or the president, and that needs to be reported on, and they won't be in the building. And I'm wondering what makes them think that. I'm wondering if someone in the perhaps intelligence agencies has said, maybe you guys want to be inside for some reason. I certainly hope that's not the case. Let's just have a nice, clean debate. We can make fun of Obama. I'm sorry, Obama. Might as well be
too.
Obama. Yeah, him
What
too.
if they both gang up on Obama? They don't even talk about each other. Just gang up on Obama.
Oh, man, 2 minutes. 2 minutes until history begins, and we are here to comment and fact check in real time. And that's the most important thing. We're not gonna let these guys, I don't care if it's Trump or Biden. I imagine the fact checks for Trump is gonna be like, actually, that wasn't the most beautiful thing. Like Trump thinks it's the most beautiful. It was beautiful, but it wasn't the biggest scoop of ice cream. It was big. And the things with Biden is gonna be like, Biden never did that. Like
That
Trump,
was a deep fake.
They say Trump lies all the time because Trump says stuff like, I had the biggest, whatever, everyone agrees. And it's like, well, like Trump had a large crowd, but he's calling it the biggest or whatever. It's like things that don't really matter that much.
Yeah.
If I was Donald Trump's speechwriter, the first sentence I would put on there is "Hawk to you, spit on that thing."
That's
what I would
the
say.
funny thing is when CNN cut off the mic for the press secretary for the Trump campaign, Carolyn Levitt. That's her name, right? Carolyn Levitt. The response from all the Democrats was, it's because she was lying. It's like, that's crazy, dude. She said to Google search it yourself. She said, you can Google search what Jake Tapper said about Trump. And then they're like, no, don't. How's that a lie? It is a fact that you can Google search what Jake Tapper said. Whether or not he said good or bad things is entirely up to what Google shows you. All right, it looks like 50 seconds.
And we're at 96,000 watching
96,600 on YouTube.
Make sure to hit that like button.
I'm still unable to pull up Rumble, unfortunately.
Any last minute predictions from the team at the table?
Last minute predictions.
I think I mean, I don't think there would be a medical emergency, but that would be so
movie-esque.
We'll never hear the
Yeah,
end of it from
movie-esque.
Tim.
Yeah, you guys, I expect a can of Coca-Cola, but the Mexican kind that has the real sugar in it.
Bottle?
Yeah.
Bottles.
Yeah,
Bottle.
They need to go to the original formula that has cocaine in it. That's what they need.
Joe
There's
Biden's
probably
like, I'm one
there's
step
probably
ahead
some
of you.
countries where it's still legal, I guess.
I mean, I imagine you can just get the cocaine and put it in yourself, right?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, but
Very
So
DIY
we are
of you.
we are
Yeah,
about CNN's countdown is 10 seconds, but I'm going to wait until they actually begin the debate and not the exposition or whatever from CNN's moderators.
You don't want to talk to the moderators?
Well, that's for them. We want to comment on the debate itself.
Yeah.
I suppose we should probably just jump to it.
Photoshop.
We'll
Joe
just
Biden
jump to
picture.
it.
We're live from Georgia, a key battleground state in the race for the White House. In just moments, the current U.S. president will debate the former U.S. president as their party's presumptive nominees
Never been done before. This is
in
history.
American history. We want to welcome our viewers in the United States and around the world to our studios in Atlanta. This is the CNN presidential debate.
This debate is being produced by CNN and is coming to you live on CNN, CNN International, CNN.com, CNN Max, and CNN Espanol. This is a pivotal moment between President
Inclusive of
Joe
them.
Biden and former President Donald Trump in their rematch for the nation's highest office. Each will make his case to the American people with just over 4 months until Election Day.
Man.
Good evening. I'm Dana Bash.
That's pretty crazy.
CNN's Inside
4 months out.
Politics and co-anchor of State
We
of
just
the
broke 100K on YouTube.
CNN's the
Well,
lead
welcome,
and co-anchor
everybody.
of State of the
Make sure you follow me on X.
This evening. Our job is
Follow me on X at Twitter, on X at Timcast. In the event anything happens and the stream may go down, I'll have updates for you there as to how to keep watching the show. The show will be live the whole time.
The audience at home. Former President Trump will be on the left side of the screen. President Biden will be appearing on the right. A coin toss determined their positions. Each candidate will have 2 minutes to answer a question and 1 minute each for responses and rebuttals. An additional minute for follow-up, clarification, or response is at the moderator's discretion.
Oh, good. So glad.
microphone will
What was that?
be on.
Is that them?
No, it's
Oh, the mouse is broke.
The
Whoops.
candidate
That was weird.
interrupt
It's
when
a
his
browser thing.
microphone is muted. He will be
I thought they were
difficult to
muting it
understand
as for some
viewers
reason.
At home.
To know
At
what
the end
you
of
know,
the
what it
debate,
sounds
each
like,
candidate
you
will
might.
get 2 minutes for closing statements. There is no studio audience tonight.
I think Trump
Pre-written notes,
speaks last
props,
night.
or
Yeah.
contact with
Could you
campaign
imagine if
staff
something
are not permitted during the debate. By
Well, it's in Atlanta, so it is Civil War antebellum vibes, Tim, a little bit. This is the start. It would kick off in Atlanta.
Now, please welcome the 46th President of the United States, Joe Biden.
Oh, here he comes.
Arms are moving.
Are they?
Stiff.
He said,
He
"Hi,
does,
how are you?"
He does look like he has like an exoskeleton or
For
something.
those listening,
you know?
they're taking him in with a casket.
All right, let's see how Trump walks in.
And please welcome the 45th President of the United
Wow,
States.
this is crazy.
Donald Trump.
Dude, this is
Oh, he's got a strut. Look at
WWE.
him. The 45th and 46th presidents. This is amazing.
Trump
This is
just
history,
smashed 2
man.
beer cans together on
It
the top
really
rope.
is remarkable. Like, it's worth noting the
Gentlemen,
difference in
thanks so much for
body
being here. Let's
posture and the way
begin
they
debate,
move.
And let's start
100%.
with the issue that voters consistently say is their top concern, the economy. President Biden, inflation has slowed, but prices remain high. Since you took office, the price of essentials has increased. For example, a basket of groceries that cost $100 then now costs more than $120.
Oh, what?
Prices have jumped more than 30%. What do you say to voters who feel they are worse off under your presidency?
Oh
than
my
they were
gosh, look at
under
his
President
face.
Look at him.
He looks scared to
Look at
death.
what I was left when I became president.
Oh.
What Mr. Trump left me.
No.
Oh boy.
We had an economy that was in free fall. The pandemic was so badly
barely
handled.
speak.
Many people were dying. All
Trump's like, okay.
That's serious. Just
This is
injecting-
kind of sad already. I'm not
This is
even
abuse.
saying that. Yeah.
The economy collapsed. There were no jobs. Unemployment rate rose to 15%. It was terrible.
Dude.
And so what we had to do
Wow.
is try to
This is a
put things back
humiliation
together
ritual.
again.
Oh, this is
I can't.
bad.
I'm
What we began to do.
legit. I'm
So,
shocked.
Terrible.
15,000 new jobs. We brought out.
Oh my God.
gosh.
Where we have 800,000 new manufacturing jobs, but there's more to be done.
Just listening.
There's more
He's
to be done.
blinking really
Working class
rapidly every
people
time
are
he
still
clears
in
his
trouble.
throat.
I come from Scranton, Pennsylvania.
RFK Jr. sounds better
household
than this.
Where the kitchen table, if the things weren't able to get during the month, it was a problem.
He's
Price of
lost
eggs,
his
the price of
voice.
gas, the price of housing, the price.
The
of
number one
wages.
issue, according to Gallup,
That's why I'm working so hard
is
to make sure I deal
poor
with
leadership in government. It
And we're
is Joe
gonna make
Biden's.
Sure that we reduce the
Yo,
price of housing.
how's he going to get through
We're
this?
gonna
I
make
feel
sure
kind of bad for Biden. I'm not just saying that. This is
Make sure we
bad.
cap rents.
I didn't think he was gonna start off
Corporate
this
greed
bad.
can't take over. The combination, what I was
Think he
left
has
with the
Botox in
corporate
his
greed is the
forehead?
reason
Oh,
why
yeah.
we're in this
He's got
problem
a lot
right
of stuff
now.
in his forehead.
In addition to that, we're in a situation where if you take a look at all that was done in his administration, he didn't do much at all. By the time he left, things were in chaos, literally chaos. And so we put things back together. We created, I said, those jobs. We make sure we had a situation where we brought down the price of prescription drugs, which is a major issue for many people, to $15 for a insulin shot as
Can't
opposed to
remember what it's
$400. No senior has to pay more than $200 for any drug, all the drugs they can include beginning next year. And the situation is and we're going to make
He's
that
lost
available to
already.
everybody.
I mean, there's no way. You don't get out
So
of
we're
this.
working to bring down the price.
going right to
around
Twitter.
The kitchen table. And that's
This might be the medical emergency they were talking
Thank you,
about.
President Trump.
We have the greatest economy in the history of our country.
Tone of voice is so different.
We have never done so well. Everybody was amazed by it. Other countries were copying us. We got hit with COVID, and when we did, we spent the money necessary so we wouldn't end up in a Great Depression, the likes of which we had in 1929. By the time we finished, so we did a great job. We got a lot of credit for the economy, a lot of credit for the military, and no wars, and so many other things. Everything was rocking good. But the thing we never
So many
got
other
credit
things.
for, and we should have, is getting us out of that
Fact
COVID
check, true.
mess. He created mandates that was a
He didn't go
disaster
down
for our
any of
country. Other than that, we had
wormholes or
given them
distraction
back
things that he often does. This is actually
country
really
where
concise and
the
good.
stock market actually was higher than pre-COVID, and nobody thought that was even possible. The only jobs he created are for illegal immigrants and bounce-back jobs, a bounce back from the COVID. He has not
did
done
not
a
know we
good
have a
job.
camera
He's
on
done a
him.
poor job, and inflation's killing our country. It is absolutely killing us.
He's taking notes.
Thank you, President Biden.
Well, look, the greatest economy in the world. He's the only one who thinks that, I think. I don't know.
Whoa,
anybody else
what?
thinks he had the greatest economy in the world. And,
Again, telling
fact of
people
the
you're
matter
not
is
hurting
that
when they're hurting is not going to
find
work.
ourselves in
But
a
fact check
situation
true.
where
America's the top economy, global
his
economy.
His economy, he rewarded the wealthy. He had the largest tax cut in American history, $2 trillion.
And look what he did to the economy, though.
Has in any one term. He's the only president other than Herbert Hoover who's lost more jobs than he had when he began, since Herbert Hoover. The idea
come on.
he did something that was significant. And the military, when he was president, they were still killing people in Afghanistan. He didn't do anything about that.
They would
He
still
left all the guns there. What?
I can't believe he brought up Afghanistan after the botched pullout.
They let the Taliban win. I mean,
The truth is, I'm the only president this century that doesn't have any.
How are we doing an hour and a half of
decade,
this?
None of this
Hold
matters.
on, what?
any troops dying anywhere in the world.
What?
He did.
President Trump, I want to follow up if I can. You
Want
want
to respond to him?
Trump
I'm
has
gonna
to
ask you
respond
a
to
follow-up. You can do whatever you want with the minute that we give you. I want to follow up. You want to impose a 10% tariff on all goods coming into the U.S. How will you ensure that
Not
that
fact-checking
doesn't
Biden
drive
on
prices
this?
even higher?
It's not going to drive them higher. It's just going to cost countries that have been ripping us off for years, like China and many others, in all fairness to China. It's going to just force them to pay us a lot of money, reduce our deficit tremendously, and give us a lot of power for other things. But he made a statement. The only thing he was right about is I gave you the largest tax cut in history. I also gave you the largest regulation cut in history. That's why we had all the jobs. And the jobs went down, and then they bounced back, and he's taking credit for bounce-back jobs. You can't do that. He also said he inherited 9% inflation. No, he inherited almost no inflation, and it stayed that way for 14 months. Yeah. And then it blew up under his leadership because he spent money like a bunch of people that didn't know what they were doing, and they don't know what they were doing. It was the worst.
The boom in the economy is what kept the inflation at bay.
And as far as Afghanistan is concerned, I was getting out of Afghanistan, but we were getting out with dignity, with strength, with power. He got out. It was the most embarrassing day in the history of our country's life.
President Trump, over the last 8 years, under both of your administrations, the national debt soared to record highs. And according to a new nonpartisan analysis, President Trump, your administration approved $8.4 trillion in new debt. Well, so
Here we
far,
go. January was 1.4%. January 21. Fact check.
New debt. So,
Biden's
former
wrong.
President Trump, many of the tax cuts that you signed into law are set to expire next year. You want to extend them and go even further, you say. With the U.S. facing trillion-dollar deficits and record debt, why should top earners and corporations pay even less in taxes than they do now?
Because that's how you manage inflation.
We're the greatest economy that we've ever seen just prior to COVID. And even after COVID, it was so strong that we were able to get through COVID much better than just about any other country. But we spurred, that tax spurred. Now, when we cut the taxes, as an example, the corporate tax was cut down to 21% from 39%, plus beyond that.
If Trump keeps talking like this, who cares?
With much less tax,
Biden's
and companies were
voice
bringing
is
back
making Trump
trillions
sound
of dollars back into our country.
so much better, but he's also,
The country
his like
was
demeanor's
going
down.
like never
He's
before.
totally
And
chill,
we were ready
Trump.
To start
He's
paying down debt. We're ready
presidential.
To start
He's
using
not
the
throwing
liquid gold
bombs.
right under our feet.
He's not
The
gripping
oil and
the
gas
podium.
right
I
under
read
our
it from
feet.
experts
We were
and
going to have
historians that
something
this no audience thing was
nobody
going to
else
hurt
has
Trump
had.
really bad.
We got hit with
I was
COVID.
like, oh.
We did a lot to
So I'm
fix it.
getting
I
booed
gave
at the
him an
Libertarian Convention. I loved it.
unbelievable situation with all of the therapeutics and all of the things that we came up with. We gave him something great. Remember, more people died under his administration, even though we had largely fixed it. More people died under his administration than our administration, and we were right in the middle of it, something which a lot of people don't like to talk about. But he had far more people dying in his administration. He did the mandate, which is a disaster, mandating it. The vaccine went out. He did a mandate on the vaccine, which is the thing that people most objected to about the vaccine. And he did a very poor job, just a very poor job.
That was
and I will tell you,
perfect.
not only poor there, but throughout the entire world, we're no longer.
I don't even know this guy.
They don't
I was gonna say we're winning Phil over. It's
they don't
amazing.
respect the United States anymore. We're like a third world nation between weaponization of his election, trying to go after his political opponent, all of the things he's done. We've become like a third world nation, and it's a shame. The damage he's done to our country, and I'd love to ask him, and will, why he allowed millions of people to come in here from prisons, jails, and mental institutions to come into our country and destroy our country.
President Trump, we will get to immigration later in this block. President
Gosh, look at
Biden,
Joe Biden, looks scared.
Horrible.
About the national debt.
He had the largest national debt of any president.
His voice is destroying
What's
it.
Harry Sasson saying about this? This is the best he's ever looked.
Benefited the very wealthy. What I'm going to do is fix the tax system. For example, we have 1,000 trillionaires in America. I mean, billionaires in America. And what's happening? We're in a situation where they, in fact, pay 8.2% in taxes. If they just paid 24%, 25%, either one of those numbers, they'd raise $500 billion, I should say, in a 10-year period. We'd be able to wipe out.
He needs to stop doing math.
Help make sure that all those things we need to do, child care, elder care, making sure that we continue to strengthen our health care system.
Guys,
making sure
people
that
don't remember what you tell them. They remember how you made them feel. Biden's rasping is all that matters right now. This is apocalyptic for his campaign.
With dealing with everything we have to do with.
Makes me kind of like.
Holy.
Hold on.
Look, if Medicare.
Thank you, President Biden.
Oh, come on. How are they going to spin this? I mean,
and he's destroying Medicare because all of these.
I'm starting to feel sad, man.
No.
yeah, I was feeling that way.
Nope. Hammer down. Get them.
No, Phil's right.
Get them.
Phil's right.
Get
Phil's
them.
right.
Phil's
These people
next
are evil.
Absolutely.
These people are evil.
Millions and
Phil's next single, get them.
Get them.
They're trying to put
we go.
them on Social Security. He will wipe
told you
out
the name.
Trump is
Social
calm,
Security.
collected,
He
and
will
firm.
wipe out Medicare. So he was right in the way he finished.
Look how hard Joe Biden's
It's a
breathing.
shame.
Look at his chest
What's
going up and
happened to
down.
our
You can
country
tell.
I mean,
in the last 4 years
not gonna
is
last.
not to be believed.
Well, I can't wait to see
I'm
what
friends with a lot of people.
the polls look like tomorrow and the day
Sasson
after.
said this is already going terrible for
We're no
Trump.
longer
Who did?
respected.
Harry
They
Sasson.
don't like us.
This is already a
We give them
catastrophe for
everything
Trump.
You know which
they
one
want.
Trump is and which one Biden is.
No.
People, what we're doing for other countries, and they
Also,
do
Trump
nothing for
avoiding the
us.
fact that
What this
Biden is
man
so
has
terrible
done
is interesting.
Is
good.
I
absolutely
wonder if he's going
criminal.
to zero in on that at some point, or
Thank
just
you,
leave it be
President
for
Trump.
us.
What this man has done is
This is
absolutely
the
criminal. I
first
like that.
presidential election since the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade. This morning, the court ruled on yet another abortion case, temporarily allowing emergency abortions to continue in Idaho, despite that state's restrictive ban. Former President Trump, you take credit for the decision to overturn Roe v. Wade, which returned the issue of abortion to the states.
Correct.
However, the federal government still plays a role in whether or not women have access to abortion pills. They're used in about 2/3 of all abortions. As president, would you block abortion medication?
First of all, the Supreme Court just approved the abortion bill, and I agree with their decision to have done that, and I will not block it.
That is a great
You look
move.
at this whole question that you're asking, complex, but not really complex. 51 years ago, you had Roe v. Wade, and everybody wanted to get it back to the states. Everybody, without exception. Democrats, Republicans, liberals, conservatives. Everybody wanted it back. Religious leaders. And what I did is I put 3 great Supreme Court justices on the
astounded.
court, and they happened to vote in favor of killing Roe v. Wade and moving it back to the states. This is something that everybody wanted.
It's constitutional,
now, 10 years
too.
ago or so, they
Aborting
started
Roe v.
talking
Wade,
about how
you
many
might say.
weeks and how many this, getting into other things. But every legal scholar throughout the world, the most respected, wanted it brought back to the states. I did that. Now the states are working it out. If you look at Ohio, it was a decision that was an end result that was a little bit more liberal than you would have thought. Kansas, I would say the same thing.
They're pulling Biden after
Texas
this.
is different. Florida is different.
Look at his face.
They're all making
This is
their own
it.
decisions.
Oh my God.
This is it.
And right now,
He'll step
states
down
control it.
gracefully.
That's the vote.
Is
of
the medical
people.
emergency thing real?
Like
I
Ronald
mean, I don't know if
Reagan,
it's going to happen
believe
tonight.
in
I'm
the
saying they're going to
exceptions.
go back
I
and be
am a
like, you
person
can't
that
do this.
believes.
He's going to bow out.
Frankly,
there was a time where I
think
thought
it's important to
if
believe in
Trump
the
talked too
exceptions.
much, it would be
Some people, you have to
terrible.
follow your heart.
It is
Some people don't
wonderful
believe
for
in
him
that.
to sound
But I
like this
believe
and
in the
Biden to
exceptions
look
for
confused
rape,
while
incest,
he's
and
talking.
the life of
Biden
the
looks
mother.
like
I
he
think
is
it's very
falling
important.
apart, like he doesn't know where he
People
is.
don't.
Look at him. He looks scared.
Trump's talking in straight lines.
Yes.
Because that
Weird.
has to do with other
This is
things.
probably going to end up, if it keeps going like this, this is
Yeah.
every bit as brutal as JFK versus Nixon. Every bit as brutal.
I'll be suspicious if we go to a commercial break and he comes back with a great voice and high energy.
Well, they knew his voice was bad before he walked in there. You can tell.
Maybe they got
He said,
something
we'll
real
put the
quick.
baby aside and we'll determine what we do with the baby.
I
Meaning
think that's where we
we'll
got
kill
cheap
the
fakes
baby.
from. They're-
He's bringing up North.
We brought it
Well,
back
Phil's
to
a
the
singer. He
States,
knows when
and
you
the
lose your
country is
voice, it's
now
from
coming
overuse. Do you think he's been
together on this
talking a
issue.
lot?
Real quick, Trump's bringing up Northam.
Thank you. President
He
Biden.
brought up that they want to do the
Terrible
post-birth abortion.
What you've done.
Keep him
The
comfortable.
fact is that the vast majority of constitutional scholars supported Roe when it was decided. Supported Roe. And that's this idea that they're all against it is just ridiculous. And this is the guy who says the state should be able to have it. We're in a state where in 6 weeks, you don't even know whether you're pregnant or not, but you cannot see a doctor, have him decide on what your circumstances are.
Why does the doctor have to be a guy?
The idea that
Catholic
states
president.
are able to do this is a little
Hollywood
like saying
Catholic.
we're going to turn civil rights back to the states. Let each state have a different rule. Look, there's so many young women who have been, including a
mean
young
the 10th
woman
Amendment?
was murdered. And
Idiot.
He went to the funeral. The idea that she was murdered by an immigrant.
What?
coming in. They talk about that.
Yeah, I know, but
Here's
like,
the deal.
How did
There's
we
a
get
lot of
here?
young women are being raped by their in-laws.
How did we?
by
What?
What is he doing?
You say rape by in-laws?
By their in-laws, yeah.
It's just ridiculous, and they can do nothing about it. And they try to arrest them when they cross state lines.
Thank you.
What?
They cut off. He was
Moderators-
doing so badly.
Moderators are helping
By
him.
the same people he allows to come across our border. We have a border that's
look
the
at his
most
face.
dangerous place anywhere in the world. Consider the most dangerous place anywhere in the world. And he opened it up, and these killers are coming into our country, and they are raping and killing women. And it's a terrible thing. As far as the abortion is concerned, it is now back with the states. The states are voting. In many cases, it's frankly a very liberal decision. In many cases, it's the opposite. But they're voting, and it's bringing it back to the vote of the people, which is what everybody wanted, including the founders, if they knew about this issue, which, frankly, they didn't. But they would have. Everybody wanted brought back. Ronald Reagan wanted it brought back. He wasn't able to get it. Everybody wanted it brought back, and many presidents had tried to get it back. I was the one to do it. And again, this gives it the vote of the people, and that's where they wanted it. Every legal scholar wanted it that way.
Staying on the topic of abortion, President Biden, 7 states, I'll let you do that. This is the same topic. 7 states have no legal restrictions on how far into a pregnancy a woman can
Yeah, dude. That's the possum face.
Do you support any legal limits on how late a woman should be able to
Any legal
terminate
limits?
pregnancy?
I supported Roe v. Wade.
Already mad, and he's mad at Dana.
First time is between the
Get her,
woman
Joe,
and the
get
doctor.
her.
Second time is between the doctor and an extreme situation. The third time is between the doctor. Between the woman and the state. The idea that the politicians, that the founders wanted the politicians to be the ones making decisions about women's health is ridiculous. That's the last. No politician should be making that decision. A doctor should be making those decisions. That's how it should be run. That's what you're going to do. And if I'm elected, I'm going to restore Roe v. Wade.
Elected.
So that means he can take the life of the baby in the 9th month and even after birth, because some states, Democrat run, take it after birth. Again, the former governor of Virginia, put the baby down, then we decide what to do with it. So he's
Play the video.
willing to, as we say, rip the baby out of the womb in the 9th month and kill the baby.
I didn't close your mouth.
Nobody wants that to happen, Democrat or Republican.
Oh, he's
Nobody
trying.
wants it to
Yeah,
happen.
they're trying to help him.
That is simply not true.
Pull up the
Roe
video.
v. Wade does not provide for that. That's not the circumstance. Only if a woman's life is in danger, she's going to die. That's the only circumstance.
Biden is
that can
lying.
happen.
Northam said this
We
on the
are
radio.
not for late-term abortion.
And there's video of
period.
it.
Period.
Under Roe v. Wade, you have late-term abortion. you can do whatever you want, depending on the state. You can do whatever you want. We don't think that's a good thing. We think it's a radical thing. We think the Democrats are the radicals, not the Republicans.
For 51 years,
That's a soundbite right there for him.
51 years, constitutional scholarship said it was the right way to go. 51 years, and it was taken away because this guy put very conservative members on the Supreme Court. He takes credit for taking it away. What's he going to do?
It's
What's he going to do, in fact, if the MAGA Republicans, he gets elected, and the MAGA Republicans control the Congress, and they pass a universal ban on abortion, period, across the board at 6 weeks or 7 or 8 or 10 weeks, something very, very conservative. Is he going to sign that bill? I'll veto it. He'll sign it.
Thank you.
You save a lot of lives.
Immigration and border security. President Biden, a record number of migrants have illegally crossed the southern border on your watch. Overwhelming border states and overburdening cities such as New York and Chicago, and in some cases causing real safety and security concerns.
Yep.
Given that, why
Kathy
should voters
Tran
trust you
was the Virginia rep
solve this
who
crisis?
proposed the bill to allow
Because we worked very
abortion
hard
at
to
the
get
point
a
of birth
bipartisan agreement
on
that
video.
Not only changed
Google it.
all of that, it made sure that we are in a situation where you had no circumstance where they could come across the border with the number of border police there are now. We significantly increased the number of asylum officers. By the way, the Border Patrol endorsed my position. In addition to that,
Because they're paid by the cartel.
When he was president, he was separating babies from their mothers, putting them in cages.
Oh, that's what Obama did.
Literally.
The families were separated.
So
That's not
Bill's triggered now.
human
what
trafficking.
I've done since I've changed the law. What's happened? I've changed it in a way that now
I remember Fast and
we're in a
Furious
situation
under,
where
Obama and
40% fewer people coming across the border illegally. It's better than when he left office. And I'm going to continue to move until we get the total ban.
See the brow thing he's doing? I mentioned he would do.
The total
Where he's
initiative.
furling his brow, trying to look.
What we can do with more border patrol.
And Trump's doing the,
asylum.
you know,
Trump's like, what?
President Trump?
I really don't know what he said at the end.
Yes!
He said either. Look, we had the safest border in the history of our
Biden is-
country.
Look at him. Oh my God.
I hope-
That's why they cut the cameras.
They keep cutting away
Yeah,
from
they
Biden.
have to. They don't want to
Open up
show
our
him.
border.
I don't. He said, I don't know what he said in the end.
People that are from prisons, people that are from mental institutions, insane asylum, terrorists. We have the
Look at his
largest
face. What
number
the-
of terrorists coming into our country right now. All terrorists, all over the world,
a man
not
with
just in
sundowners.
South America, all over the world. They come from the Middle East, everywhere. All over the world, they're pouring in. And this guy just left it open. And he didn't need legislation because I didn't have legislation. I said, close the border. We had the safest border in history. In that final couple of months of my presidency, we had, according to Border Patrol, who is great, and by the way, who endorsed me for president.
Joe's
but I won't
face.
say
The
that.
memes that'll come out of
He
this.
endorsed me for
Trump's
president.
face out and put
Brandon,
anything else
look
for him
at
to
him.
react to.
But look, we had the safest border in history. Now we have the worst border in history. There's never been anything like it. And people are dying all
10
over
million
the
in 4
place,
years.
including the people that are coming up in
Thank you,
caravans.
President Trump. President Biden?
The only terrorist who's done anything crossing the border is one who came along and killed three, under his administration, killed an Al-Qaeda person come in his administration.
What?
Killed
Okay,
three American
Okay, so
soldiers.
who-
This is
Killed three
beautiful.
American soldiers.
So who's
Exactly.
replacing
Terrorists.
Biden? I got Whitmer.
I'm not saying no terrorists
think
ever got
New-
through, but the
Newsom?
idea
You think
we're
Newsom?
emptying their prisons,
Biden
we're
won't leave.
welcoming.
I think we'll know within a week.
It's simply not true. There's no data to support what he
Maybe
said.
tonight.
Once
Maybe
again, he's
tonight.
exaggerating. He's lying.
President Trump, staying on the topic of immigration, you've said that you're going to carry out, quote, the largest domestic deportation operation in American history, unquote. Does that mean that you will deport every undocumented immigrant in America, including those who have jobs, including those whose spouses are citizens, and including those who have lived here for decades? And if so, how will you do it?
Just 1 second. He said we killed three people. The people we killed are al-Baghdadi and Soleimani, the two greatest terrorists, biggest terrorists anywhere in the world. And it had a huge impact on everything, not
this
just border,
could, like,
on everything.
It would only
He's the
get
one that
better.
killed people with the bad water, including
I don't think it get better.
hundreds of thousands of people dying and also killing our citizens when they come in. We are living right now in a rat's nest. They're killing our people in New York, in California, in every state in the union because we don't have borders anymore. Every state is now a border.
Second
Because
biggest
of his
issue,
ridiculous,
immigration.
insane, and very stupid policies, people are coming in and they're killing our citizens at a level that we've never seen. We call it migrant crime. I call it Biden migrant crime. They're killing our citizens at a level that we've never seen before. And you're reading it like these three incredible young girls over the last few days. One of them, I just spoke to the mother, and He just had the funeral for this girl, 12 years old.
12 years old.
This is horrible what's taken place. What's taken place in our country, we're literally an uncivilized country now. He doesn't want it to be. He just doesn't know. He opened the borders. Nobody's ever seen anything
Illegal immigrant
like.
just killed
And
two
we have
people
to
in the
get a lot
Irving
of these people
Chick-fil-A
out,
next
and we
to
have
the
to get
Blaze
them out
Studios.
fast.
I mean,
Because they're going to destroy our country. Just take a look at where they're living. They're living in luxury hotels.
Yeah, he's nailing this.
In New York City and other places. Our veterans are on the street. They're dying because he doesn't care about our veterans. He doesn't care. He doesn't like the military at all.
Yeah, it's not even.
And he doesn't care about our veterans. Nobody been worse. I had the highest approval rating for veterans taking care of the VA. He has the worst. He's gotten rid of all the things that I approved. Choice that I got through Congress, all of the different things I approved, they abandoned. We had by far the highest, and now it's down in less than half because he's done all these great things that we did. And I think he did it just because I approved it, which is crazy. But he has killed so many people at our border by allowing all of these people to come in. And it's a very sad day in America.
President Biden, you have the mic.
Every single thing he said is a lie.
Told you.
Every single one.
Good call,
For example,
Claire.
veterans are a hell of a lot better off since I passed the PACT Act.
He forgot about
1
Just said
million
that
of
the
them now have
children
it.
dying
Look
because
at
of
how
illegal
mad
immigrants
it
was
I
a
know.
lie.
I know.
Their families have it because what happened, whether it was Agent Orange or burn pits, they're all being covered now. And he opposed, his
gonna talk
group
about his
opposed that. We're also in a situation where we have great respect for veterans. My son spent a year in Iraq, living right next to one of those burn
gonna
pits.
talk
Came
about-
back with
again?
stage 4 glioblastoma. I was recently in France for D-Day, and I spoke all about those heroes that died.
Poop myself.
I went to the World War II cemetery, World War I cemetery he refused to go to. He was standing with his 4-star general, and he told me, he said, I don't want to go in there
the
because they're a bunch of
predictive
losers
market,
and
Tim?
suckers. My
Donald
son
Trump,
was not a
63
loser,
cents,
was
up
not a
8.
sucker.
Joe
You're
Biden
the
down
sucker.
38,
You're the
down to
loser.
38 cents, down 7
Trump?
since the start.
First of all, that was a made-up quote, suckers and losers. They made it up. It was in a third-rate magazine that's failing, like many of these magazines. He made that up. He put it in commercials. We've notified him. We had 19 people that said I didn't say it. And think of this. Who would say I'm at a cemetery or I'm talking about our veterans? Because nobody's taken better care. I'm so glad this came up, and he brought it up. There's nobody that's taken better care of our soldiers than I have. To think that I would, in front of generals and others, say suckers and losers. We have 19 people that said it was never said by me. It was made up by him, just like Russia was made up, just like the 51
great to reference
intelligence
Russia right at that.
agents are made up, just like the new thing with the 16 economists are talking. It's the same thing. 51 intelligence agents said that the
He's
laptop
crushing.
was
Jab,
Russia
jab, jab.
disinformation.
He's
It
just
wasn't.
killing him.
That came from his son, Hunter. It wasn't Russia disinformation.
invoking
He
Hunter.
made up the suckers and losers, so he should apologize to me right now.
4-star general standing to your side who was on your staff who said you said it, period. That's number one.
He said, you
Number
said, I don't
two,
care.
the idea that I have to apologize to you for anything along the line. We've done more for veterans than any president has in American history. American history.
It's not true.
And they now are in their family. The only sacred obligation we have as a country is to care for our veterans when they come home and their families and equip them when they go to war. That's what we're doing. That's what the VA is doing now. They're doing more for veterans than ever before in our history.
All right, thank you so much.
Let's move to the topic of foreign
They
policy.
muted Dana.
I want to begin with Russia's war against Ukraine, which is now in its third year. Former President Trump, Russian President Vladimir Putin says he'll only end this war if Russia keeps the Ukrainian territory it has already claimed and Ukraine abandons its bid to join NATO. Are Putin's terms acceptable to you?
First of all, our veterans and our soldiers can't stand this guy. They can't stand him. They think he's the worst commander-in-chief, if that's what you call him, that we've ever had. They can't stand him. So let's get that straight. And they like me more than just about any of them. And that's based on every single bit of information. As far as Russia and Ukraine, if we had a real president, the president that knew, that
Joe
was
looks a lot better when he
respected by
smiles,
Putin,
so at least he looks like
he would have
Twitter
never
is
invaded
tearing
Ukraine.
this guy apart.
A lot of people are
Biden
dead
was
right
just
now,
frozen
much
for a
more
second
than
there.
people know. You know, they talk about numbers. You can double those numbers, maybe triple those numbers. He did nothing to stop it. In fact, I think he encouraged Russia from going in.
They purposely
I'll tell you what
did
happened.
not
He
give
was
him
so
his
bad with
methamphetamines
Afghanistan.
so they could
It
have
was
a
such a
humiliation
horrible
ritual so they could swap him
embarrassment,
out
most
with whatever
embarrassing
Newsom.
moment in the history of our country, that when Putin watched that and he saw the incompetence, that he should have fired those generals, like I fired the one that you mentioned, and so he's got no love lost. But he should have fired those
Dave
generals.
Portnoy
No
of Barstool
general
says Trump
got
should cede
fired
all his time
for
to
the most
Biden.
embarrassing
Biden starts a
moment
sentence and
in
he
the
can't
history of
finish
our
because he's
country,
lost his train of
Afghanistan,
thought.
where we
Right.
left billions of dollars
Dave's
of equipment
right.
behind. We lost 13 beautiful soldiers, and 38 soldiers were
Right.
obliterated. And by
Proximus
the
with
way,
the
we
other guy
left
wearing
people
himself
behind
down.
too. We left American citizens behind. When Putin saw that, he said,
man, I'm seeing
you know
liberals
what? I think we're going
freaking
to
out
go
at
in
CNN
and
over this.
maybe take my.
Yep.
This was his dream. I talked to him about it. His dream.
down.
The difference
Dave
is
Smith is
he
predicting that
never
Biden won't
would
even
have
be the
invaded
nominee.
Yeah, dude.
Ukraine. Never.
I think a lot of people have been
Just
predicting
like
that,
it's
right?
Israel
I
would have
mean,
never
Cenk
been
Uygur is
invaded.
saying this is elder abuse.
In
It
a
is. It
million
really
years
does.
by
If we stick with
Hamas.
Biden, it's a guaranteed
You know why?
loss.
Because Iran was broke with me.
out.
I wouldn't
Honestly,
let
it's gotta
anybody
be a
do
guaranteed
business
loss
with them.
anyways. How are
They
you gonna
ran
put
out of
someone
money.
in
They were
all in,
broke.
like,
They had no money for
September, in
Hamas.
July?
That's why people are
They
saying
had
they're
no
doing
money
so
for
early.
anything. No money for terror. That's why you
Biden
had
can't
no
even
terror
hold
at
his
all
head up right now.
during my administration.
not
this
good.
place,
I
the
don't know
whole
how his
world is
campaign
blowing
message
Is he
up
taking
under
notes
him.
though? Do you think he's writing with his
President
right
Biden?
hand?
He does
Yeah, it
have
looks
a
like
pen.
he's-
Never heard so much malarkey in my whole life. Look, the fact of the matter is that we're in a situation where, let's take the last point first. Iran attacked American troops, caused brain damage for a number of these troops, and he did nothing about it. Recently, not when he was president, they attacked. He said they're just having headaches. That's all it is. He didn't do a thing when the attack took place, number one. Number two, we got over 100,000 Americans and others out of Afghanistan during that airlift. Number three,
Everyone
we found ourselves in a situation where if you take a look at what Trump did in Ukraine, this guy told Trump, do whatever you want and do whatever you want. And that's exactly what Trump did.
Frank Luntz is saying that his undecided voters
and he went in. And listen to what he said.
it's
when he
not
went
going
in.
well for Biden.
He's going to take Kyiv.
It's not
in
his
5
policies,
days,
it's his
remember?
presentation.
Because it's part of the old
He
Soviet
said
Union.
they
That's what he
don't
wanted
like
to
when Trump is
reestablish.
yelling at Biden.
Kyiv. And he, in
It sounds like a
fact,
senior
didn't do
citizen
it at
bingo
all.
hall
He
argument.
wasn't able to get it done, and they've lost over.
Trump needs to focus on what he's going to do.
Thousands of troops, 500,000 troops.
President Trump,
I
as
never
come back
said
to you
that.
for 1 minute, I just
point, he's
want to
gotta
go
give
back
hope
to my
to the
original
country.
question, which is,
Biden
are
symbolizes
Putin's
death.
terms acceptable to you? Keeping the
No, they're
territory
not
in Ukraine.
acceptable. No, they're not acceptable. But look, this is a war that never should have started. If we had a leader in this war, he led everybody along. He's given $200 billion now or more to Ukraine. He's given $200 billion. That's a lot of money. I don't think
It's
there's ever
almost
been
as much as
anything
we've given
like
to
it. Every
Israel for
time that
50 years.
Zelensky
50
comes
years.
to this country, he walks away with $60 billion. He's the greatest salesman ever. And I'm not knocking him. I'm not knocking anything. I'm only saying the money that we're spending on this war, and we shouldn't be spending, it should have never happened. I will have that war settled between Putin and Zelensky as president-elect before I take office on January 20th. I'll have that war settled. People being killed so needlessly, so stupidly, and I will get it settled, and I'll get it settled fast before I take office.
President Biden, you have a minute.
The fact is that Putin is a war criminal. He's killed thousands and thousands of people.
Wow.
And he has
Predicted
made one thing
market
clear.
right now.
He wants
Biden
to
has
reestablish what was
collapsed.
part of the Soviet
Why
Empire.
answer the question,
Not just a piece.
Biden,
he wants
why can't
all of
you end this
Ukraine.
war?
That's what he wants.
Like, that's
and
what
then
the
you
question
think he'll
should be.
stop there? Do you think
Yeah,
he'll
Biden
stop
is getting
when
crushed on Twitter.
if
Elder
he takes
abuse
Ukraine?
is lost,
What do you think
Biden
happens to
getting
Poland?
cooked.
What do you think of Belarus? What do you think happens to those NATO countries? And so if you want a war, you ought to find out what he's going to do, because if in fact he does what he says and walks away, and by the way,
Yeah, and think about
all
that. Biden
money
has
we
the
give
lowest
Ukraine are from
expectations.
Democratic
Make
presidential
sure the United
nominee
States give
predicted
them the
Biden is
weapons,
down
not
20
the money.
points and Newsom jumped 10 points.
And our NATO allies have produced as much
Newsom.
funding for
I mean,
Ukraine.
look at
we have.
California.
That's why.
Even if
that's why
Newsom
we're
does
strong.
jump in, like
Thank you. Moving on to the Middle East.
he has a horrible
In
record.
October,
the homelessness in
Hamas
California.
attacked
I
Israel,
saw a video.
killing more than 1,000 people and
We talk
taking
about
hundreds
homelessness
of hostages.
every year for the past
Among
10
those
years.
held
There's a video
and thought
when he
to
was
still
mayor.
be alive
How do
are
the
five.
voters
How I'm going to
care about
eradicate
records?
homelessness.
Israel's
It's
response
gotten
has
a
killed
million times
thousands of Palestinians and
lot of
created
their
a humanitarian
Voters don't
crisis
care
in
about
Gaza.
records.
Israel,
President
Palestine,
Biden, you've put forward a proposal to resolve this conflict, but so far Hamas has not released the remaining hostages, and Israel is continuing its military offensive in Gaza. So what additional
heavy right
leverage
now, or am I-
will
Yeah,
you
you can
use
tell it's like
to
chest.
get Hamas and Israel
yeah.
to end the war? You have 2 minutes.
Number one, everyone from the United Nations Security Council straight through to the G7 to the Israelis and Netanyahu himself have endorsed the plan I put forward.
What about the American
There's
people?
3 stages to it. The first stage is trade the hostages for a ceasefire. Second phase is a ceasefire with additional conditions. The third phase is the end of the war. The only one who wants the war to continue is Hamas, number one. They're the only ones standing out. We're still pushing hard to get them to accept. In the meantime, what's happened? In Israel, we're finding that the only thing I've denied Israel was 2,000-pound bombs. They don't work very well in populated areas. They kill a lot of innocent people. We're providing Israel with all the weapons they need and when they need them. And by the way, I'm the guy that organized the world against Iran when they had a full-blown intercontinental ballistic missile attack on Israel. No one was hurt. No one Israeli was accidentally killed, and it just stopped.
And his hand
We
just
saved Israel. We are the biggest producer of support for Israel of anyone in the world. And so they're 2 different things. Hamas cannot be allowed to be continued. We continue to send our
happens
experts
to Kamala
and our
when she's
intelligence
out?
people as to how they can
like
get
his-
Hamas like we did bin Laden. You don't have to do it. And by the
You
way,
mentioned that
they've been
Trump is
greatly
up in
weakened,
prediction
Hamas.
market and Biden's
Greatly
down.
weakened, and they should
Newsom's up 10
they should
points.
be eliminated.
Yeah.
But you've got to be careful
15%.
for using certain
What's
weapons
Michael Obama
among
at?
population centers.
Not charting. Not at all.
Who's on the
Going
list?
back
Is
to
there
Ukraine
other
for one
names?
second.
Trump, Biden, and
We have an
Newsom,
ocean
Harrison
separating
Jr.
us.
are the only real
The
contenders.
European nations together have spent $100 billion or maybe more than that, less than us. Why doesn't he call them and say, you
feel
got to
like
put
Newsom's
up your
too
money
much
like I did
baggage.
with NATO? I got
like
them
a
to
claim
put up hundreds of
them.
billions of dollars. The Secretary General
I really
of
think
NATO said
Whitmer's
Trump did the most
contender
incredible
because
job
they're gonna
I've
play her
ever
as a
seen.
sympathetic.
Biden
They
wouldn't have any.
They were going out of business. We were spending
Yeah.
almost 100% of the money was paid by us.
They can play the Fed napping with
He didn't
Whitmer
do
as a
that.
sympathy card.
He's getting all. You got to ask these
want a
people to
woman.
put up the money.
Biden should have
We're
wore his
over
aviators.
$100 billion
That would've maybe
more
helped him.
spent,
yeah.
and it has a bigger impact on them
Sparked up a
because of
cigarette. It just
location.
looked cool,
because
yeah.
we have an
Big
ocean in
big,
between. You got to ask
in a
them. As far as Israel and Hamas, Israel's the one that wants to go. He said the only one who wants to keep going is Hamas. Actually, Israel is the one, and you should let him go and let him finish the job. He doesn't want to do it. He's become like a Palestinian, but they don't like him because he's a very bad Palestinian. He's a weak one.
President Biden, you have a minute.
I've never heard so much foolishness. This is a guy who
Doing
wants
this.
to get
I've
out
never
of
heard so
NATO.
much
You gonna
malarkey.
stay
I've
in
never heard
NATO?
so much foolishness.
He's going to pull out of NATO. The idea that we have our strength lies in our alliances as
All
well.
his responses are he's just
Maybe a
lying.
big ocean, but we've ever
The liberal response right now on
Europe, a
X
major war in Europe.
is telling. They
What
are
happens if,
either
in fact, we
screaming,
have
saying, CNN, what are you
continue
doing?
to go
Stop
into-
doing this.
into NATO?
Like, as
Have
if
an
the
Article
moderators
5
can
agreement.
save him.
Attack on
And the
one,
others are saying,
attack
we're
on
cooked.
all. You want to start the
They're
nuclear
posting
war, he
pictures
keeps
of the
talking
markets,
about, go ahead.
the betting markets.
Let Putin go in and control
National
Ukraine,
Association for
and
Gun
then
Registers
move on to Poland and other places.
Intergalactic ball
What
missile.
happens then? He has no idea what the hell he's
learning all
talking
kinds
about.
of
Is that what he said?
By the way, I got 50 other nations around the world to support Ukraine, including Japan and South Korea, because they understand that this kind of dislocation has a serious threat to the whole world peace. No major war in Europe has ever been able to be contained just to Europe.
Wait, so
President Trump, just to follow
there is
up,
no end to this war. Is what
would you
he's saying,
support the
if I am
creation of an
president.
that's what he
independent
wants.
Palestinian state in order to achieve peace in the region?
I'd have to see, but before we do that, the problem we have is that we spend all the money. So they kill us on trade. I made great trade deals with the European nations because if you add them up, they're about the same size economically. Their economy is about the same size as the United States. And they were no cars, they don't want anything that we have, but we're supposed to take their cars, their food, their everything, their agriculture. I changed that. But the big thing I changed is they don't want to pay. And the only reason that he can play games with NATO is because I got them to put up hundreds of
They
billions
posed
of
the question
dollars.
to
I
Biden
said,
yet?
and
No,
he's right
right?
about this. I said, no,
Yeah.
Just
I'm not
one?
going to
Yeah, there was
support
one
NATO.
One
if you
to
don't
four
pay.
is the ratio
Yeah.
right
He
now?
asked me that question. Would you guard us against Russia at a very secret meeting of the 28 states
picked
at
a
that
good
time,
shade of orange
nations
for
at that
Donald
time?
tonight. It's
and they
not
said,
too
no, if
orange,
you
it's
don't
like
pay,
it's a subtle
I
orange,
won't do
it's
that.
the
So
right
what
Surprised CNN
happened?
didn't tweak it behind the
Billions
scenes.
know
of
that they didn't
billions
wanna
of
add a
dollars came
filter,
flowing
you know,
in the
he's
He's got
next
some
day or
special
6
shanning
months.
on.
But now we're in the same position. We're
Viva
paying
Fry
everybody
predicting
Thank you.
Biden will bail within a month.
Let's turn to the issue of democracy. Former President Trump I want to ask you about January
Do you think Joe
6th,
Biden wants to be
2021.
president?
After
Do
you
you think
rallied
he
your
really does?
supporters that day,
I think
Joe,
some
do you
of them
think Joe Biden
stormed the
still wants to be
Capitol
president?
stop
I know he
the
wanted to be, but
constitutionally mandated
he still
counting of
does.
electoral
I think he and
votes.
Jill want to stay in the
As
White House.
president, you swore an oath to, quote, preserve, protect, and defend, unquote, the Constitution. What do you say to voters who believe that you violated that oath through your actions and inaction on January 6th and worry that you'll do it again?
Well, I don't think too many believe that. And let me tell you about January 6th. On January 6th, we had a great border. Nobody coming through, very few. On
Yes,
January
return to
6th, we were
immigration.
energy independent. On January
Kyle
6th, we had the
Kalinske
lowest taxes
tweets
ever.
they accidentally
We had the
gave
lowest
Joe the downer.
regulations ever.
Yeah.
On January 6th, we were respected all over the world.
Kyle's tweeting.
All over the world, we were respected.
This is
And then he comes in, and we're now laughed at. We're like a bunch of stupid people.
This is a good
What happened to the United States' reputation under this man's leadership is horrible, including weaponization, which I'm sure at some point you'll be talking about, where he goes after his political opponent because he can't beat him fair and square.
Yes.
You have 80 seconds
That's
left.
just
My
malarkey.
question was, what do you say to those voters who believe that you violated your constitutional oath through your actions and inaction on January 6, 2021?
That's a double
and
question.
worry
I
that
think
you'll
I
do it
reject the
again?
premise
Well,
of
I
that.
didn't say that to anybody. I said peacefully and patriotically. And Nancy Pelosi, if you just watched the news from 2 days ago,
Get her.
on tape to her daughter, who's a documentary filmmaker, they say,
They say.
she's saying, oh, no, it's my responsibility. I was responsible for this. Because I offered her 10,000 soldiers or National Guard, and she turned them down. And the mayor,
Yes, she did.
in writing, by the way, the mayor, in writing, turned it down, the mayor of D.C. They turned it down. I offered 10,000 because I could see, I had virtually nothing to do. They asked me to go make a speech. I could see what was happening. Everybody was saying they're going to be there on January 6th. They're going to be there. And I said, you know what? There's a lot of people coming. You could feel it. You could feel it too, and you could feel it. And I said, they ought to have some National Guard or whatever. And I offered it to her. And she now admits that she turned it down. And it was the same day she was, I don't know, she can't be very happy with her daughter because it made her into a liar. She said, I take full responsibility for January 6th.
President Biden?
She did. The video just got released.
I'm speechless. I can't believe he
I
had
sat in the dining room off the
such
Oval Office.
amazing
She sat
answers.
there for 3 hours. 3 hours watching, begging, being begged by his vice president and a number of his colleagues
think
on the
Biden's gonna
Republican
say
side as
police
well
officers died
to
at
do
January
something,
6th?
call
Probably.
for a stop, to end it. Instead, they talked about these people being patriots and great patrons of America. In fact, he says he'll now forgive them for what they've done. They've been convicted. He says he wants to commute their sentences.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
say,
Yeah, because of the First Amendment.
Great.
He went to
E-Bash
every
in Super
single
Chat
court
says
in
it's
the nation.
3-on-1 and they're still
I don't know how
losing.
many cases,
Right?
scores of cases, including the Supreme Court, and they said, no, this guy is responsible for doing what was done. He did do a damn thing, and these people should be in jail, and they should
admitted it.
be the ones who are.
He
Trump
tried to
said
get
he would review the cases.
He wants to let them all out,
And
now
he
says
should.
That he loses again.
That's exactly
So
Yeah,
A lot of them were
100%.
First Amendment
He needs
cases.
to pardon
it's a
everybody.
bloodbath.
Thank you, President Biden.
Bloodbath.
President Trump?
Man, they cut him off.
What they've done to some people that are so innocent, you ought to be ashamed of yourself. What you have done, how you've destroyed the lives of so many people. When they ripped down Portland, when they ripped down
Yes. Yes.
many other cities, you go to Minnesota, Minneapolis, what they've done there with the fires all over the city. If I didn't bring in the National Guard, that city would have been destroyed.
Yeah, and had
When
a
you
bail
look at
bond
all
fund
of
to
the
jail.
they took over big chunks of Seattle. I was all set to bring in the National Guard. They heard that. They saw them coming, and they left immediately. What he said about this whole subject is so off. Peacefully patriotic. One other thing. The Unselect Committee, which is basically two horrible Republicans that are all gone now out of office, and Democrats, all Democrats, they destroyed and deleted all of the information they found because they found out we were right. We were right. And they deleted and destroyed all of the information. They should go to jail for that. If a Republican did that, they'd go to jail.
Thank you, President Trump. President Biden, I want to give you a minute.
The only person on this stage is a convicted felon is the man on.
Let everyone drink.
There we go.
The fact of the matter is, what he's telling you is simply not true. The fact is that there was no effort on his part to stop what was going on.
It's not true.
When
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
And all those people, every one of those who were convicted, turned over desks, turned them over statues.
What?
The idea that those people are patriots, Come on. When I asked him the first two debates we had, first time around, I said, will you denounce the Proud Boys? He said, no, I'll tell them to stand by.
What?
The idea he's refusing, will you denounce these
Did he
guys?
actually say this during the debate?
Denounce the people we're talking about now?
He's asking him now?
You denounce the people who attacked that Capitol? What are you going to do?
I'm going to give you a
What?
Wow, he
minute,
can't even
President
answer
Trump, for a follow-up question I have. After a jury convicted you of 34 felonies last month, you said if reelected, you would, quote, have every right to go after, unquote, your political opponents. You just talked about members of the Select Committee on January 6th going to jail. Your main political opponent is standing on stage with you tonight. Can you clarify exactly what it means about you feeling you have every right to go after your political opponents?
Well, I said my retribution is going to be success. We're going to make this country successful again, because right now it's a failing nation.
That's good.
My retribution is going to be success. But when he talks about a convicted felon, his son is a convicted felon.
See, Biden
at a
opened the
very
door for
high
that.
level.
No.
His son is convicted, going to be convicted probably numerous other times.
I don't agree
Should have
with
been
it.
convicted before, but his Justice Department let the statute of limitations lapse on the most important things. But he could be a convicted felon as soon as he
Like
gets out of
after-
office. Joe could be
they
a
found a
convicted
rental
felon
car with
all of the
cocaine in it from
things that
Hunter
he's
Biden
done.
and
He's
never
done
got in
horrible
trouble.
things. All of the death caused at the border. Telling the Ukrainian people that we're going to want $1 billion or you change the prosecutor. Otherwise, you're not getting $1 billion. If I ever said that, that's quid pro quo.
Too esoteric.
That we're
He's
not
gotta get
going
on
to do
issues.
anything. We're not going to give you $1 billion unless you change your prosecutor having to do with the son. This man is a criminal. This man, you're lucky. You're lucky. I did nothing wrong. We'd have a system that was rigged and disgusting. I did nothing wrong.
Thank you, President Trump. President Biden, you have said, I'm coming right to you, sir. You want to respond? Go ahead. I'll give you a minute to respond.
What?
The idea that I did anything wrong relative to what you're talking about is outrageous. It's simply a
MK
lie.
Ultra
number
wore
one.
off.
Number two, the idea that you have a right to seek retribution against any American.
You literally
because you're
do it
president
to him.
is wrong.
And the whole
Simply
country
wrong.
sees
No
it.
president's ever spoken like that before. No president in our history has spoken like that before. Number three, the crimes that you are still charged with, and think of all the civil penalties you have. How many billions of dollars do you owe in civil penalties for molesting a woman in public?
Oh,
doing a
gosh.
whole range of things.
You slept with your
Having
or you
sex
showered with your
a porn
daughter,
star
Joe.
Yeah.
On the night
Your family
while your wife
didn't
was
acknowledge
pregnant.
your
I mean,
son's
what are you
illegitimate
talking
child.
about? You have the
Another
morals of an
granddaughter.
alley cat.
Give you a minute, sir.
I didn't have sex with a porn star, number one. Number two, that was a case that was started and moved. They moved a high-ranking official, a DOJ, into the Manhattan DA's office to start that case. That case is going to be appealed and won. We had a very terrible judge, a horrible judge, Democrat. The prosecutor were all high-ranking
Go back
Democrats,
talking about
appointed
Biden's
people,
record.
and both the civil and the criminal.
Border
He
Patrol
basically
Union
went
tweeted,
after
to be
his
clear, we
political
never
opponent
have and never
because
will
he thought it was
endorse
going to
Biden.
damage me. But when the public found out
The
about
Border
those
Patrol
cases,
Union.
they understand it better than he does. He has no idea what
go,
these
everybody.
cases are.
Fact check.
But when they found out
From
about these
CFR.org.
cases, you know
If the
what they
prosecutor's
did?
not fired,
The
you're
poll
not
numbers
getting the
went up
money.
way up.
Well,
You know
SOB,
that 'cause
he
you
got
reported
fired.
it.
There you
And
go.
We took in more money in
lied.
the
Trump
last
was
2
right.
weeks
Lied.
than we've ever taken in the history of any campaign. I don't think any campaign has ever taken. Hundreds of millions of dollars came pouring in because the public knows it's a scam and it's a guy that's after his political opponent because he can't win fair and square.
Thank you, President
true.
Trump. President Biden, you have said, quote, Donald Trump and his MAGA
I'm surprised they haven't gone
Republicans
to commercial
are
yet.
determined to destroy American
it's in
democracy.
Ooh.
Do you believe that the tens of millions of Americans who are likely to vote for President Trump will be voting against American democracy?
The more they know about what he's done, yes.
What?
The more they know about what he's done. And there's a lot more coming. He's got a lot of cases down the road coming around. He's got a whole range of issues he has
He
to
actually
face.
just said the
I don't know
Americans
what the
have
juries will
overwhelmed
do,
voting
but I
against.
do know he has a real problem.
Probably
And
didn't
so
need it.
the fact that, could you ever think you heard any president say that I'm going to seek retribution?
You
Ever heard
literally
any
threatened
president
Americans
say
with
that?
F-15s,
Well,
you
I've got
idiot.
some good ideas. What got me involved to run in the first place after my son had died, I decided
Oh, here we go.
Iraq, because of Iraq. I said I
Said
wasn't going
in
to run
Iraq
again
and then corrected himself.
until I saw what happened in Charlottesville, Virginia.
No, just fact check that.
Torches and singing the same anti-Semitic bile they sang when back in Germany, and the young woman got killed. I spoke to the mother, and they asked him. They said, What do you think of those
Everyone knows it's BS.
people the ones who got killed, the one who tried to stop it, and the ones he said, I think they're fine people on both sides. What
Shout
American
out to Snopes.
president
Thanks for that.
Yep.
would ever
Fact check.
say
Snopes. Trump never said
Nazis
it.
coming out of fields carrying torches, singing the same anti-Semitic bile, carrying swastikas were fine people?
Were they?
This is the guy who says
say that.
Hitler.
Yeah, I don't think they were
that
carrying
part.
swastikas.
No.
I'd like to know
They
what
had
they
tiki
are.
Doesn't sound
torches.
real
He
at
thinks
all.
Hitler's
During
done.
the
That's what
Charlottesville,
he
there was a
said.
guy with the flag,
This
though.
guy has no sense of American democracy.
President Trump.
Jake, both of you know that story has been totally wiped out because when you see the sentence, it said 100% exoneration on this. So he just keeps it going. He says he ran because of Charlottesville. He didn't run because of Charlottesville. He ran because it was his last chance.
That's
I mean,
true.
that's
not
been his
equipped
face
to
the
be
whole time,
president.
Tim.
You
He's
know
just
it. I know it. It's ridiculous. We have a
a deer in
debate.
the headlights,
We're trying to justify his presidency. His presidency is, without question, the worst presidency in the history of our country. We shouldn't be having a debate about it. There's nothing to debate.
Wilson
He made up
still.
the Charlottesville story,
Yes.
and you'll see
It's
it's
Woodrow
debunked all over the place.
Yeah.
Every anchor has every
And Wilson was
reasonable
also,
anchor.
like,
Now, come on, CNN.
incapacitated towards the
Confirm
end.
this.
And just the other day, it came out where it was fully debunked. It's a nonsense story. He knows that.
Confirm
and
it,
he didn't run because of
CNN.
Charlottesville. He
You'd
used
confirm
that as
it if it was
excuse to
Trump
run.
or if it was Biden.
President Biden.
And debunked. It happened. All you have to do is listen
No,
to
it didn't.
time.
Let's roll it again.
The
Let's-
idea that somehow that's the only reason I ran. I ran because I was worried a guy like this guy could get elected. If he thought they were good people.
You said it was the
Not
only
at
reason
all.
you ran.
Literally Snopes.
For the soul of the
Carrying
nation.
those woods, carrying those torches, then he didn't deserve to be president. Didn't deserve to be president at all. And the idea that he's talking
American
about
people decide
all
who
this
deserves to be
being
president.
fabricated. We saw with our own eyes. We saw what happened on January 6th. We saw the people breaking through the windows. We saw people occupying his own vice president. Look, there's a reason why.
Occupying his own vice
40
president?
of his 44 top cabinet officers refused to endorse him this time. His vice president hasn't endorsed him this time. So why?
I don't
Wu
think
just-
people
Why?
want
They know him well.
Yeah,
They
Mike
serve
Pence
with him.
sucks.
Why are
Brianna
they
Wu
not
just tweeted the
endorsing
arrogance
him?
of the Democrat
Thank you,
Party
President Biden. We're going to be
establishment
right
brought us
back
to
with
this
more
moment.
from the CNN presidential debate.
We all knew he was too old to run again, and instead of admit it, they insisted everything was fine because it was better for their careers. And now we're fucked.
So it's first commercial break, 51 minutes in. It's kind of fascinating.
Wow.
And they're only doing 2 commercial breaks.
Theoretically, there'll be another. I don't
So
know.
is he allowed to sit down in the corner of the ring now and they ice his face, or?
Well, so he's not allowed, neither one is allowed to have any contact with any campaign staff. So theoretically, I assume they're allowed to, exit the stage, use the restroom, whatever else, but they are not allowed to hear from anyone how it's
to
doing.
stand
Maybe
next to
they
each
check
other
their own
at the
phones.
urinal?
I mean, the thing is, I don't think Joe Biden checks Twitter, whereas Trump is checking Twitter right now.
You think
Here you
that's
go,
what
ladies
he's
and gentlemen.
doing?
I got a clip for
I
you.
bet he is.
Oh,
Why
yeah,
wouldn't he?
good.
I didn't want to play this during the debate.
Straight up.
Not but it just happened to be that was the assignment I got. I got all the good ones, so I got Ukraine, and I remember going over convincing our team or others to convincing us that we should be providing for loan guarantees, and I went over for I guess the 12th, 13th time to Kyiv, and I was supposed to announce that there was another $1 billion loan guarantee. And I had gotten a commitment from Poroshenko and from Yatsenyuk that they would take action against the state prosecutor, and they didn't. So they said they were walking out to press conference. I said, no, I'm not going to, we're not going to give you the $1 billion. They said, you have no authority. You're not the president. The president said. I said, call him. I said, I'm telling you, you're not getting the $1 billion. I said, you're not getting the $1 billion. I'm going to be leaving here. And I think it was, 6 hours? I said, I'm leaving in 6 hours. If the prosecutor's not fired, you're not getting the money. Well, son of a bitch. Got fired.
That's it. Quid pro quo Joe. And it turns out Victor Shokin, the prosecutor, was investigating a company called Burisma, where Joe Biden's son was on the board of directors. At the very least, we can call that a conflict of interest for which Joe Biden should not have been involved, but he brags about it and then lies about it. That was the video. You saw it. Share it with your friends. He did it. Now, you might be a liberal, you might be a Democrat, and say that's not a criminal action. That's fine. It's still a conflict of interest, and we agree Biden shouldn't have done it. But I tell you this, Biden denied it even happened. I just showed you the video. The lies.
It is like
It's
gaslighting
brazen.
the entire American public, right? Joe Biden said repeatedly, I mean, Trump references these young girls who have died because of illegal immigration, because migrants have crossed the border, and a couple other things. And Biden's response is, everything he just said was a lie. I mean, he is deny, and it's to the detriment of the families that are suffering, right? I'm going to lie about the economy. Even CNN, we right before this show, we pulled the clip of the guy saying, I tried to reorder the same thing from Walmart. It went from being $120 for a month's worth of groceries to over $400. And CNN is like, it went from about $100 to $120.
I'll be fair a little bit. I think their numbers are wrong, but they're doing this average broad thing. And that guy, who knows, maybe he had like, there's like a pork thing that's no longer available. It's more expensive. Fair to say, though, 100 to 120 does not track with the inflation rates that we actually
much higher.
And I would argue that if there is something that is now not widely available that was then, that is also an economic problem, right? Any kind of supply chain issue falls back on the American people because they suffer because of it.
Real quick. What's up?
There is a breaking S&P futures surged towards new record high as markets began pricing in a Trump 2024 election victory. Markets now see a new high 63% chance of Trump winning the election. Odds of President Biden winning a second term are down 15%.
Real quick, we have this January 2021 1.4% inflation. Biden lied early on, and it spiked into Biden's first term. He blamed Trump for that.
He is just absolutely lying.
While black unemployment dropped to a record low under your presidency, black families still earn far less than white families. Black mothers are still 3 times more likely to die from pregnancy-related causes.
Are they only doing one commercial?
And black Americans
or maybe right before closing
at 5 times the rate of white Americans. What do you say to black voters who are disappointed that you haven't made more progress?
You acknowledge you made a lot of progress, number one. The fact of the matter is there's more small black businesses that have been started than any time in history. Number two, the wages of black unemployment is the lowest level it's been in a long, long time. Number three, we're trying to provide housing for black Americans and dealing with the segregation that exists among these corporations that collude to keep people out of their houses. And in addition to that,
cannot control nuclear weapons.
The impact on the choice
we are just back
black
from
families
commercial.
have to make relative to child care is incredibly difficult. When we did the first major piece of legislation in the past, I was able to reduce black child care costs. I cut them in half. We got to make sure we provide for child care costs. We got to make sure because when you provide that child
Notice
care
the progressive style guide they're using when they capitalize black, and they told them to not capitalize white.
Oh yeah, look at that.
Guides, that
There's
says a
more
lot
to be
about
done.
the ideology.
In the Chiron, you're saying.
Yep. We've done a great deal so far, and I'm not letting up, and they know it.
You have 49 seconds left. What do you say to black voters who are disappointed with the progress so far?
I say I don't blame them for being disappointed. Inflation is still hurting them badly. For example, I provided for the idea that any black family first-time home buyer should get a $10,000 tax credit to be able to buy their first home.
On race?
Do you know what the interest rates are now on homes?
Also, everything
$10,000 isn't anything to talk about.
And only for black people. Like Joe Biden's racist. He only likes certain people.
Of course.
Based on skin tone.
Well, the whole I hate doing the Democrats are the real racist thing, but if your party embraces critical race theory and awakening a racial consciousness in the people in your party, they're going to focus on race.
And we're going to do
You're the racist ones when you make everything about race. I mean, that's
They're just KKK without the hoods now.
And he caused the inflation. And he's right, it's been very bad. He caused the inflation. And it's killing black families and Hispanic families and just about everybody. It's killing people. They can't buy groceries anymore. They can't. You look at the cost of food where it's doubled and tripled and quadrupled.
Cheesecake Factory.
They can't live. They're not living anymore. He caused this inflation. I gave him a country with essentially no inflation. It was perfect.
1.4%. We just fact-checked that.
He destroyed it with his Green New scam and all this money that's being thrown out the window. He caused inflation. As sure as you're sitting there, the fact is that his big kill on the black people is the millions of people that he's allowed to come in through the border. They're taking black jobs now, and it could be 18, it could be 19, and even 20 million people. They're taking black jobs, and they're taking Hispanic jobs, and you haven't seen it yet, but you're going to see something that's going to be the worst in our history.
Thank you.
This no interruption format benefits Trump tremendously. It allows him to remain professional in his appearance without
him look good. Yep. 15% unemployment. He decimated the economy, absolutely decimated.
Fake anger. I called it out.
That's why there was no inflation at the time. There were no jobs. We provided thousands of millions.
That was
of
state-level
jobs for
lockdowns.
individuals.
Biden just
All
keeps
communities,
lying.
including minority communities. We made sure that they have health insurance.
Remember, this
We
is the guy
had
that wanted to
covered
use OSHA
the
to force
ACA
everybody
has
to get
included- made sure that
vaccinations.
there-
80,000 Americans
per
using
patient
OSHA.
and family.
New York City,
million
segregated.
Off for healthcare.
Maybe it is. Yeah, 80
This
million.
guy
Yeah, I'm
wants
sorry.
to
Yes, you're
eliminate
right.
it.
80 million.
They
My
tried
bad.
50 times. He wants to get rid
Biden's
of
rubbing
the ACA
off on me.
again. And they're going to try again if they win. You find ourselves in a position where the idea that we're not doing anything. We put more police on the street than any
NBC reporting
has.
Biden has a cold.
We're providing
I swear,
Oh
Kelly
my
O'Donnell.
COVID.
It is At some point, they have to realize how embarrassing it is.
Well, that's how they're going to spin it. They're going to be like, look at the performance he did while he was sick. It's like the Michael Jordan flu game, you know. He's sick and still did a great job.
Yeah,
Kelly O'Donnell, senior White House correspondent to NBC News, says
2023
two
was the
sources
hottest
say Biden
year
has a
in
cold.
recorded history, and communities across
When did he
the
get this
country are
cold? 10
confronting
minutes
the
ago?
devastating effects of
4 years
extreme
ago.
heat.
I don't know how that's possible. He
He'll get a cold when he's president,
stronger
too.
hurricanes and rising
Right.
sea levels. Former President Trump, you've vowed to end your opponent's climate initiatives, but will you take any action as president to slow the climate crisis?
Talk about
Let me
fake
just
clouds,
go back
please.
to what he said about
I love that he just keeps
police.
ignoring her.
How close the police are to him.
Look at who her
Almost
husband
every
does.
Police group in the nation.
He should
from
ignore
every
her.
state.
She shouldn't even be on
is supporting
stage.
Donald J. Trump. Almost every police group. And what he's done to the black population is horrible, including the fact that for 10 years he called them super predators. We can't in the 1990s.
Nice.
Ooh, nice reference.
All bad.
Joe Biden's face.
And he called it to
did
him,
say that.
and they've taken
Beyond the
great
pale
offense at
speech.
it, and now they see it happening.
Biden's response is, I
1992,
don't
When they
remember
see what I
that.
did for
Yeah.
criminal justice reform and for the historically
They need to be
black
removed from the
colleges and universities, where I funded them and got them all funded, and the opportunity zones with Tim, as you know, Tim Scott was incredible. He did a great job, great senator from South Carolina. He came to me with the idea, and it was a great idea. It's one of the most successful economic development acts ever in the country, opportunity zones. And the biggest beneficiary are blacks. And that's why we have the best numbers with them in maybe ever. They're saying ever. I read this morning where ever, the best numbers. He's
Fact check.
lost
Back to immigration.
much of the
Fact check.
black
Biden did
population
not call black people
because
super
he's done a
predators.
horrible
That was
job
Hillary
with
Clinton.
black people.
It was Clinton.
He's also
Biden
done a
said
horrible
predators
job
on our
for
streets.
Hispanics.
And don't
But
want
when
my
you
kids
see
to
these
grow up in a
millions
racial
of people-
jungle.
Right, but
Yeah, and he did say the N-word, too, multiple
And it's
times.
already
Fair point, though. Biden didn't say that was Hillary
Yeah,
Clinton who
yeah.
did
Right.
it. That's fair.
Yeah.
You've 38 seconds left. President Trump, will you take any action as president to slow the climate crisis?
So I want absolutely immaculate clean water, and I want absolutely clean air, and we had it. We had H2O. We had the best numbers ever, and we were using all forms of energy, all forms, everything. And yet, during my 4 years, I had the best environmental numbers ever. And my top environmental people gave me that statistic just before I walked on the stage, actually.
I don't like this question because it's so
I
subjective.
don't know where the hell
Yeah.
he's been.
What?
The idea that anything he said is true. I've passed the most extensive climate change legislation in history.
That costs
In history.
jobs.
We find ourselves
Struggling
by
to
the way,
breathe.
Keystone
black colleges.
Pipeline
Well, he has
shut
a
that down.
cold.
Came up with $15 billion for
He's had one for weeks.
HBCUs, historic
Weeks.
black universities and colleges, because they don't have those. They don't have the kind of contributors that they have to build these laboratories and the like.
Wow.
Any black student is capable in college of doing any white student can do. They just don't have the money. But now they'll be able to get
He's about to say black people don't know what
jobs in
computers are.
high-tech.
Yeah.
We're in a situation where the idea that he is claiming to have done something that had the cleanest water, he hadn't done a
I think he
damn
said he
thing
wanted
for the
cleaner water,
environment.
right?
No,
He-
he said we had
out
the
of the
cleanest
Paris
water.
Had the cleanest water?
I mean, it's a
We have
Trump
a cleanest
hyperbole. It's not.
I immediately joined it because if we reach
Like, how is Flint
1.5 degrees Celsius at any one point, where there's no way
If you
back.
were really concerned
Only
about it, you'd be
existential
talking
threat
about
to humanity
China and
is
India.
climate change.
What if Trump
He's not
said,
doing a damn thing about it? He wants to
The water's
undo
turning all the
I've
frogs
done.
gay.
I think he should talk about
Paris
the
Accord
jobs.
was going to cost us $1 trillion,
Yeah, there we go.
and China nothing, and Russia nothing, and India nothing.
Joe
It was a
Biden, stop
ripoff of the
gaping.
United
It's not a
States.
good Can't
help
No,
it.
stop
And
telling
he
him to
ended
do
it.
things that'll help him. What's wrong with you?
He's never going to listen to
Because
me
they treat
ever.
us horribly. We were the only ones. It was costing us money. Nobody else was paying into it, and it was a disaster. But everything that he said just now, I'll give you an example. I heard him say before insulin. I'm the one that got the insulin down for the seniors. I took care of the seniors. What he's doing is destroying all of our medical programs because the migrants coming in, they want everybody. And look, I have the biggest heart on the stage. I guarantee you that. And I want to take care of people. But we're destroying our country. They're taking over our schools, our hospitals. They're going to be taking over Social Security. He is destroying Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid.
Hassan the Hun says, Hassan
The
Piker,
idea is
Biden saw RFK Jr.
we, in
doing
fact,
numbers on TikTok and wanted
we
to sound
were-
like him.
Well, the only ones of consequence.
Brutal, dude.
We're not members of the Paris Accord. How can we do anything if we're not able to? The United States can't get its pollution under control. One of the largest polluters in the world, number one. We're making significant progress. By 2035, we will have cut pollution in half. We have made significant progress, and we're continuing to make progress. We set up a climate corps for thousands of young people will learn how to deal with climate, just like the Peace Corps, and we're moving in directions that are going to significantly change the elements of cause.
Spending
of
federal
pollution.
money, and we're also
But the
destroying
idea
jobs and local
that
economies.
he
Cool.
claims
Sounds
that
good.
He has the biggest heart up here, and he's really concerned about pollution and about climate. I've not seen any indication of that. And by the way, with regard to prescription drugs, one company agreed that they would reduce the price to $35, which I was calling for, one, voluntarily. I made sure every company in the world, every pharmaceutical company, cannot have to pay.
Thank you.
And by the way,
and by the way,
struggle just to make ends meet for many older Americans. Social Security provides a critical lifeline. President Biden, if nothing is done to Social Security, seniors will see their benefits cut.
I'd like
in
to
just
thank
over
CNN for
10
this.
years. Will you name
Tremendously.
tonight one specific step that you're willing to take to keep Social Security solvent?
yes, make the very wealthy begin to pay their fair share.
So stupid.
Yeah.
Right now,
So stupid.
Everybody making under $170,000 pays 6% of their income,
You
of
can
their
scream,
paycheck.
Phil, but he
Every
can't
single
hear
time
you.
they get a paycheck.
It's infuriating because that is not going to change one goddamn.
The idea that they're going to, I'm not.
There is
I'm
not enough wealthy
opposing
people in
that.
this country that you can
Everybody
tax to actually
pay-
cover the cost of the deficit.
no.
Millionaires pay 1%.
I mean, like our
1%.
yearly deficit.
You would have
No
to
one
cut.
after-
Yeah,
I did
exactly.
not
If you
raise the
taxed
cost
all of the
of
millionaires at
Social Security.
100%, it would not even
Anybody
cover a
over
small
$40,000
fraction
after
of
that,
U.S.
again,
federal
make the
spending per
wealthy
year.
The fact that this is even being said should be fact checked by CNN. If there was any attempt at
You still have
actual
82 seconds left.
honesty,
Are there any other
Look at this.
measures that you think that would be able to help keep Social Security solvent, or is that one enough?
Well, no, that one enough will keep it solvent.
no, it won't.
Defeat this man.
It's $1 trillion a year just in interest.
Money to cut in Social Security. He's wanting to cut Social Security.
I think
and
Phil doesn't
Medicaid.
like Joe.
It's infuriating
That's what
because this is the
look at
most
the program put
important
forward by
thing that we have to
the House
worry about.
Republican
This is
caucus.
this is national
These I
security.
support
This is the future.
is in
Like we
fact
talk about
want
kids
to
and
cut it
families.
as well.
If this doesn't get
The
fixed,
idea that
like
we don't
millions of
need
people
to
will
protect our
die
state
because
is ridiculous.
no one is going
We
to
put-
own our
we-
debt.
by the way,
This is the most important
American
thing.
public
He has no plan.
healthcare
He has no
today
plan.
than
God, it's
ever
infuriating.
before.
He knows he won't be here for that. He
Basically, as
doesn't
I
care.
said, you're in a circumstance where
It's infuriating.
400,000 people, 40
I wonder if the
million
new candidate
people
will have all
do not
the
have
talking
insurance
points,
because
or
of
they
a
keep
pre-existing
using his.
condition.
I think
One
it's
thing allows
interesting that
them to
they were
have
like,
that
"Is there anything
insurance
else?" And he was
is
like,
the
"No,
fact
just that one
that they,
thing."
in
And now
fact,
I'm going
are
to say
part of
why
the
Trump is
ACA.
bad.
Yeah.
And by the way,
It's a
the
very
other thing
negative
is,
campaign. It
we're
always
in a
has been.
situation where we talk about education for black communities. I've raised
And then I'm going to talk about black people because I think that'll help me now.
Another $8,000. So anybody making under $70,000 a year is going to be able to get $15,000 toward their tuition. He just doesn't know what he's talking about.
Thank you, President Biden. President
No one knows what you're talking about.
Politicians, all my life, I've been on this side of the equation for the last 8 years. I've never seen anybody lie like this guy. He lies. I've never seen it. He
And the
can look you in
plagiarist.
the face. About so many other things, too. And we mentioned the laptop. We mentioned Russia, Ukraine. Everything he does is a lie. It's misinformation and disinformation.
Cheap fakes.
The losers and suckers story that he made up is a total lie on the military.
Charlottesville.
It's a disgrace. But Social Security, he's destroying it because millions of people are pouring into our country.
Yep.
And they're putting them onto Social Security. They're putting them onto Medicare, Medicaid. They're putting them in our hospitals. They're taking the place of our citizens. What they're doing to the VA, to our veterans, is unbelievable. Our veterans are living in the street, and these people are living in luxury hotels. He doesn't know what he's doing.
debit cards from the mayor.
It's really coming back. I've never seen such anger in our country before.
President Biden?
The idea that veterans are not being taken care of, I told you before. And by the way, when I said suckers and losers, he acknowledged after that he fired that general.
Yeah, and
that general got fired.
And that's why he lied.
He's the one that acknowledged that that's what he said. He was the one standing with Trump when he said it, number one. Number two, the idea that we're going to be in a situation where all these millions and millions, the way he talks about it, illegal aliens are coming into the country and taking away our jobs. There's a reason why we have the fastest growing economy in the world. The reason why we have the most successful economy in the world.
Dude, the middle class
We're doing better than any other nation in the world. And by the way, those 15 Nobel laureates he talked about being phony, those 15 Nobel laureates, economists, they all said that if Trump is reelected, we're likely to have a recession.
Oh, yeah. That's who I want to listen to.
Inflation is going to increasingly go up. And by the way, worst president in history, 159 presidential scholars voted him the worst president in the history of the United States of America.
What, a bunch of
President Biden,
academics
thank you so much.
Great. Scholars and experts are the people I care about the
American
least.
families struggle to afford. President Trump, both you and President Biden have tried to address this issue, but the average cost of child care in this country has risen to more than $11,000 a year per child. For many families, the cost of child care for 2 children is more than
He said he won the debate. And he would like some money.
To make child care more affordable.
Just to go back, the general got fired.
They're always
because he
going
was
back.
no good.
And he should.
And if he said that, that's why he made it up. We have
crushing
19
him.
people that said I didn't.
To commemorate
say it,
his
and they're
win,
very
he wants me
highly
to buy a hat.
respected, much more so than him.
If you buy it, can
The
I have
other
it? I
thing
wanted
is-
that black one they put out. For
He
a
doesn't
while.
fire people.
Where are the shoes?
He never fired people. I've never seen him fire anybody. I did fire a lot. I fired Comey because he was no good. I fired a lot of the top
did fire
people
the luggage
at the FBI, drained the
right? Or he
swamp.
quit?
They were no
No, I
good.
think he got
Not
let
easy to
go.
fire people. You pay a price for
I don't know.
I think
But they
he
were
said
no good.
quit.
I inherited these people. I didn't put them. I didn't
Stole
put
that
Comey there.
luggage.
He was no good. I fired him. This guy hasn't fired anybody. He never fires. He should have fired every military man.
Go
that
back to
was
you're
involved
fired
with
right
that
here?
Afghan.
I just love that Trump
the
is like,
Afghanistan,
yes, we should fire people who are bad.
horror show.
And Biden's like,
most
can you believe he
embarrassing
would
moment
fire
in the history
someone?
of our country. He didn't fire. Did you fire anybody? Did you fire anybody that's on the border that's allowed us to have the worst border in the history of the world? Did
His words
anybody
look like they're
fire
actually
allowing
hurting him.
18 million people, many from prisons,
him.
many from mental institutions? Did you fire anybody that allowed our country to be
Yes.
destroyed?
Get him.
Joe, our country is being destroyed as you and I sit up here and waste a lot of time on this debate.
Nice.
Wow.
That's it.
He's
That's
the worst
it.
president.
That was it.
You just said about me because I said it.
That was good.
Look, he's the worst president in the history of our country.
I've never seen someone
He's
look this
destroyed our
confused for this
country.
long amount of
Now
time.
all of a sudden,
When he
he's
says he's the worst president,
he came out with a
understand for a lot of
nothing-
people,
a nothing deal, and
saying
reduced it a
things is
little bit,
enforcing it in their
a little
minds.
bit.
Yeah.
Like,
People
this
will
much.
repeat
It's
that. Yep.
Insignificant.
They're going to be at the coffee
He
shop like,
wants
well, he is the
open
worst president of
He
our
wants
lifetime.
Our country to either
Walk
be
around outside.
destroyed or he wants to pick up those people as voters. And I don't think we just can't let it happen. If he wins this election, our country doesn't have a chance, not even a chance, of coming out of this rut. We probably won't have a country left anymore. That's how
was
bad
that
it
on
is.
the drinking game?
He's
That was on the drinking
worst
game.
in history by far.
There you
Thank
go.
you, President
everybody.
Trump. President Biden?
We're the most admired country in the world.
No.
The United
By
States
who?
of America.
What?
There's nothing beyond our capacity.
It's just
We're the
arrogance, right?
finest
Yeah.
military in the
It's
history
just
of the world.
assert my arrogance.
Finest in the history
And
of
it's
the
like,
world.
yeah, we used
No
to be a
one
really
thinks
great
we're
country with all
No
kinds of
one
great values,
wants to
and
screw
then you
around with
destroyed
us.
them,
Nobody.
and now you think
Number
that people
one.
still think
Number
of us
two,
that
the
way.
idea that we're talking about worst presidents. I wasn't joking.
Have they not talked
Look it
about
up.
trans or
Go online.
LGBT?
Nope.
159 or 58.
I actually
And
am
on Pride
interested
Month.
in the
Listen,
child care question.
all he does is appeal to authority.
They've had meetings and they voted who's the worst president in American history. One through best to worst. They said he was
Are you
the worst
telling me
in
that the
all
establishment
of
They're saying
like the
American history.
anti-establishment?
Biden is claiming Trump is the worst
That's not a-
president.
The same
that's not
poll said
conjecture.
Wilson was one of the
You
best.
can argue they're wrong, but that's what
Did
they
it really?
voted.
No, I'm just kidding.
The idea that he is doing anything to deal
brought
with
back
child care.
segregation, which
He did
Wilson,
very
yeah.
nothing.
His first movie
Biden's
he ever played in the
talking
White
back
House
to
was
child care.
Birth of a
Increase the
Nation.
child care tax credit.
he did the Fed.
You should significantly increase the availability of women and men or single parents to be able to go back to work. And we should
He said women and men and realized that was a bad thing.
Yeah.
Thank you, President
child
Biden.
care
President Trump,
He didn't
the
give a
question was
coherent
about
thought,
what
that
would
whole
you
thing.
do to make child care more affordable, if you want to take your minute.
Just so you understand, we have polling, we have other things that
He
they rate
shouldn't
him
get
the
tangled
worst.
up in this.
Let's
Because what he's done is so bad. And they rate me, I'll show you. I will.
he's
show
trying to
you.
interrupt.
And they rate me one of the best, okay? And if I'm given
how
another
his teeth
4 years, I will be the best. I think I'll be the best. Nobody's ever created an economy like us. Nobody ever cut taxes like us. He's the only one I know. He wants to raise your taxes by 4 times. He wants to raise everybody's taxes by 4 times. He wants the Trump tax cuts to expire, so everybody, including the two of you, are going to pay 4 to 5 times.
The inflation
Nobody
will go
ever
through
heard
the
of this
He's right.
before.
He's not. He's
All my
completely
life,
right.
I'd grow up and I'd see
Inflation will
politicians
go
talking
through
about
the
cutting
roof.
taxes. When we cut taxes, as
My
I
source,
said, we did
my
more
accountant.
business. Apple and
Like
all
for
these
real, on the
companies
phone, he's like, here's
who
what you
were
gotta understand about the
bringing
Trump tax cuts.
money back into our country. The worst president in history by far, and everybody knows it.
President Biden?
Look, the fact of the matter is that he's dead wrong about. He's increased the tariff. He will increase the taxes on middle-class people.
Andrew Yang has just called for swapping Joe Biden.
On anybody making less than $1,000.
You guys picked
Keep him.
His tariff is 10% tariffs. Everything
I think
coming
they
into
should
the
keep
country,
it.
you know what
Yeah,
they're going to say? That's going to cost the average American $2,500 a year.
Joe Biden's
more
attacking tariffs.
because they're going to have to pay.
He just proposed tariffs.
Food.
Dude's
and all the
lost.
things that we're gonna
It was,
pay.
what, like 3 weeks
Number
ago?
two,
He proposed tariffs?
He's in a situation where
Tariffs only
he
bad if
talks
Trump does
about
it.
how he has not raised. He's somehow helped the middle class. The middle class have been devastated by you. Now you want a new tax
My
cut
life
of
is pretty
$5 trillion
sweet.
over the next 10 years, which is going to fundamentally
It's
bankrupt
literally
the
the
country.
politics
You have
of
the
grievance.
largest
Like,
deficit of any
oh,
president in
hate the
American
rich
history.
people.
Number
That's
one.
not going to help
Number
the
two, you have
economy
not,
one
in
bit.
fact, made any contact, any
whole career has been about
progress
being agreed for.
with China. We are at the lowest trade deficit with China since 2010.
Thank you,
We were at the
President
highest.
Biden.
We lost
Thank you, President Biden. Let's discuss an epidemic impacting millions of Americans that both of you have made a top priority in your first term, the opioid crisis. And for
Vox
both of
reporting
you,
a Biden
the
cabinet
number
member making the
of
case for
overdose
tariffs.
deaths in this country has
15
gone
hours ago.
up. Under your term, it went up. Under
Catherine
your term,
Tai.
it
He
has
didn't
gone
even know
up.
about it.
Former President Trump,
Axios.
despite the efforts
Trump
that
and
both
Biden
of you
both
have
see
made,
tariffs as a key
more
tool
than
of diplomacy. It's
100,000
wild.
Americans are dying from overdoses
Ilhan
every year,
Omar is complaining about
primarily from
CNN. You
fentanyl
can't
and other
moderate a
opioids.
debate if you're
What will
unable
you
to
do
at
help
least push back on
Americans
outrageous
right now
lies.
in the throes of
About Biden?
addiction who are
Well, it's
struggling with
Ilhan Omar. I'm sure
anything
she means they are not pushing
Finish
back.
up. We now have the largest deficit.
Keith Olbermann's
in the
crying
history
about
of our country
CNN.
Under
Once
this
again,
guy.
Yeah.
Trump asked the
The
question.
largest
That's their play.
deficit
The
with
pro-Biden
China.
people are saying
He gets
CNN
paid
is
by China. He's a
bad,
Manchurian
and the
candidate.
realistic
He gets
liberals
money
are
from
like, and the
China.
progressives are like,
We have-
Biden
so I
is
think
done.
He's afraid to deal with them or something. But do
just
you
called him
notice he
Manchurian
never took
candidate?
out my tariffs because we bring in so much money with the tariffs that I imposed on China. He never took them away. He can't because it's too much money. It's tremendous. And we saved our steel industries, and there was more to come, but he hasn't done that. But he hasn't cut the tariffs because he can't, because it's too much money. But he's got the largest deficit in the history of our country, and he's got the worst situation with China. China's going to own us if you keep allowing them to do what they're doing to us as a country. They are killing us as a country, Joe, and you can't let that happen. You're destroying our country.
So, President Trump, you have 67 seconds left. The question was, what are you going to do to help Americans in the throes
He's
of
still gonna say
addiction
he's
right
gonna
now
do
who are
See this?
struggling to get the treatment?
Current
they
betting
need?
odds.
Jake, we were
Trump
doing
is now
very
up
well at addiction until the COVID came along.
18.1.
We had the 2.5, almost 3 years of like nobody's ever had before, any country, in every way. And then we had to get tough.
This question's
and it
interesting
was
'cause they
the
just had
drugs
this
pouring
report
across the
rolling on
border.
bankruptcy case involving the Sackler
it
family.
started to increase. We got great equipment. We bought the certain dog that's the most incredible thing that you've ever seen, the way they can spot it. We did a lot, and we were getting very low numbers, very, very low numbers. Then he came along. The numbers, have you seen the numbers now? It's not only the 18 million people that I believe is even low, because the gotaways, they don't even talk about gotaways.
Oh, yeah.
But the numbers of the amount of drugs and human trafficking in women coming across our border, the worst thing I've ever seen, at numbers that nobody's ever seen under him,
Border's totally
because the border's
collapsed. When I
so
was in
bad.
Yuma, they don't even
The
patrol
number
it. Like they
of
patrol it
drugs
just like
coming
like
across our border
TSA, but they
now
want to give you a
is
water
the
bottle
largest
and
we've ever had by
tag
far.
for your suitcase and
President
give you a
Trump, thank you.
room.
There's
President
mountains
Biden.
in Arizona that the
Fentanyl
cartel
and
run that are on the
bypass
American
fentanyl.
side.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, so like
Oh,
it's
yeah.
all literally
I
run by
wanted to make
gangs.
sure we use the machinery that can detect fentanyl.
Border's an
These
abstract
big machines
idea
that
now.
roll over everything that comes across the border.
Yeah, machine.
Frank
It
Lund
costs a
says
lot of
Trump
money.
sounds like a man of the
That
people.
was part of this deal we put together, this bipartisan deal.
Joe Biden's
more
the latest
fentanyl
of the deal.
machines.
Oh, no, he's saying
more be able to
Challenger
detect
Trump
drugs,
sounds like a man of the people.
more-
Incumbent
more
Trump sounds like a
numbers
man
of
out for himself.
Of agents, more.
It's a different Trump tonight. Wow.
Oh,
This
That's
Trump,
Frank Luntz.
this Trump
And
sounds
when we
more
had that deal
presidential
done,
and more on
he went-
message
he
and
called his
more
Republican
disciplined.
colleagues and, "Don't
Frank
do
Luntz
it.
says, after
It's
the
gonna
first
hurt your-"
commercial break, I asked the focus
No, he
group of
never argued it's
undecideds
not a good
how
bill.
many are more
It's a really
convinced to
good
vote for
bill.
Biden. Zero
We
raised
need
their
those
hands.
Machines. We
Shout
need
out to
those
Harry
machines.
Sisson. How's it
We're
going for
coming
you,
down
buddy?
Very hard in every country
want to check
in
in on
Asia
him.
in terms of precursors for fentanyl, and Mexico is working with us to make sure they don't have the technology to be able to put it together. That's what we have
Joe
to do.
Biden said
We
he had to
need
come out of
those
his meeting with
machines.
President China.
Thank you, President
I
Biden.
asked him
President
to
Trump,
address
and again,
fentanyl,
the question
and
is
Frank
about
says Biden's
Americans'
voice
throes of
is
addiction
weakening
right now,
his answer on
struggling to get
January
the treatment
6th.
they need.
I'm
This
saying,
just
like,
does
that
pertain.
matters.
He ended remain in Mexico. He
This
ended
is like the
catch and
perfect
release.
metaphor
I
for how
made
the
a catch
country
and
is in
release
two
in
different
Mexico,
dimensions.
not catch
Harry
and release
Sisson's
here.
seeing him destroying
We had
Trump.
so many things
You know?
that we had done.
These guys live in
Hard
two alternate
negotiations
realities.
with Mexico, and I got it all
It's
for
like showing
nothing.
people
It's just like when you
George
have a
Floyd's
hostage.
video
We
or
always pay
Rittenhouse
$6
video, and they
billion
have
for a hostage. Every time we say it's a hostage. Now we have a hostage, a Wall Street Journal reporter.
Oh, interesting.
I think a good guy, and he's over there.
The
because
only
Putin is
person
laughing
supporting
at this
Biden
guy,
right now is
probably
Harry
asking
Sisson.
for billions of dollars.
Paychecks
for
good.
a
Olbermann
reporter.
and some
I
other
will have
prominent
him
liberals are
very quickly,
tweeting CNN is
as soon
botching
as I
it,
take
CNN,
office,
CNN. They
before
know
I
it's
take
bad.
office, I
And then
said,
progressives are like, Biden
literally,
is cooked.
As soon
This
as
is
I win
also-
the
CNN
election,
got a lot of flack
I
at
will
the
have
town
that
hall.
reporter
Remember
out.
that?
He should have had him out a long
I'm
time
so
ago.
serious. I see
but
Biden
Putin's probably
giving, like, a
asking
very
for billions
serious,
and billions of
sad
dollars
speech,
because this
stepping
guy
down.
pays it
This
every
is
time.
exactly
We had two
why
cases where we paid
they
$6
have been
billion
using
for 5
lawfare
people.
against Donald Trump.
I got
Because this would
58
be
people out,
every
and I paid
single
essentially
day
nothing.
if they were not put, if they
you,
did not have him in
President
court and they didn't
Let's
have
turn to
him
concerns that voters
constantly
have
like
about each of you.
he would be
President
brutalizing
Biden, you would be
Joe Biden.
86
All right, let's hear.
at the end of your second term. How do you address concerns about your capability to handle the toughest job in the world well into your 80s?
He's going to slur the answer.
Well, first of all, I spent half my career being criticized being the youngest person in politics. I was the second youngest person
Paleozoic era.
ever elected to the United States Senate, and now I'm the oldest. This guy's 3 years younger and a lot less competent. I think that this-
come on, Joe.
Look what I've done. Look, I've turned around the horrible situation he left me.
What?
As I said, 15 million
greatest numbers of our lives at Jim
300,000
Cramer.
manufacturing jobs, more investment in America, over billions of dollars
More
in private
investments when you
investment
said billions.
in enterprises that we are growing. By the way, we brought an awful lot of people. Well, the whole idea of computer chips. We used to have 40% of the market. We invented those chips, and we lost it because he was sending people to find the cheapest jobs overseas and to bring home a product. So I went to South Korea. I convinced Samsung to invest billions of dollars here in the United States.
Push-ups at
And
the
they're, guess what? Those fabs, they call them, to build these chips, those fabs pay over $100,000. You don't need a college degree for them.
I don't think asking a
And
foreign
there's
country to invest in
billions,
America is a
about
good
$40
idea.
billion already
out.
being invested and being built right now in the United States, creating significant jobs for Americans from all over the world.
President Biden, you have 40 seconds left. Would you like to add anything?
Yeah, I would. The idea that somehow we are this failing country. I never heard a president talk like this before.
A president.
We're the envy of the world. Name me a single major country president
Widespread
wouldn't trade places
suffering.
with the United
Nigeria had a lower COVID
All our
mortality
problems
rate
and
than
all our
us.
opportunities.
Yeah, we're the greatest
States. We're the
country
most
on earth.
progressive country in the world in getting things done. We're the strongest.
I think we
country
are,
in the world.
but I think we're in
a
trouble because of
country in the
Biden.
world who keeps
Yes.
our word, and everybody trusts us. All of our allies and our those who he coddles up to, from Kim Jong-un, he sends love letters to, and Putin, etc.
Okay, we don't like
They
peace
don't want
deals?
to screw around.
Yeah, geez.
Come
Thank you.
on.
So you're
Former
right.
President
anti-peace
Trump,
Here we
to
go.
follow up, you
Trump.
would be 82 at the end of your second term. What do you say to voters who have concerns about your capabilities to serve?
Well, I took 2 tests, cognitive tests. I aced them, both of them, as you know.
aced them.
As you
made it
know.
public. He took none. I'd like to see him take one, just one, a real easy one. That's
awesome.
I go
An easy
through the
one.
first 5 questions. He couldn't do it. But I took 2 cognitive tests. I took physical exams every year. And, we knock on wood wherever we may have wood, that I'm in very good health. I just won 2 club championships, not even senior, 2 regular club championships. To do that, you have to be quite smart, and you have to be able to hit the ball a long way. And I do it. He doesn't do it. He
Trump's
can't hit a ball 50 yards. He challenged
Macs
me
and
to a
Diet
golf
Coke.
match. He can't hit a ball 50 yards. I think I'm in very good shape. I feel that I'm as in good a shape as I was 25, 30 years ago. Actually, I'm probably a little bit lighter, but I'm in as good a
That's actually
shape
true.
as I was.
He lost weight. He did.
Years ago. I feel very good. I feel the same. But
His testicles are full of microplastics from McDonald's,
And you know
but
what? If I
everything
didn't
else
do
is
well,
fine.
Who's aren't, Alex?
Yeah, I know all of ours are.
Jackson
Yeah,
was
let's hear him.
a great guy when he was White House doctor. And then I took another one, a similar one. And one of them said they'd never seen anybody ace him.
Thank you. President
I've
Biden.
never seen anybody ace a cognitive test.
According to all the information.
223 pounds or 235 pounds. Well, you said 6'4", 200.
Oh my!
Anyway, that's
goodness.
Anyway, just take a look at what he
More
says
math.
he is, and take a look at what he is.
What?
Look, I'd be happy to have a driving contest with him. The reason I got my handicap, which when I was vice president, down to a 6.
Oh, we're doing golf now.
Yeah, they should play golf.
Why did it? Our little Trump, he's
I'm
laughing.
happy to play golf with you if you carry your own bag. Think you can do it?
That's the biggest lie that he's a 6 handicap.
That is such a lie.
That is totally a lie.
I've seen you swing. I know you swing.
That's
the moment. Act like children.
They're arguing over
Specific concern that voters have about you.
Of course, she has to interrupt when it's so
Just gonna have
good.
to curb
All
your
legal
enthusiasm
challenges have been exhausted, that you will accept the results of this election, regardless of who wins, and you will say right now that political violence in any form is unacceptable.
Is Joe Biden going to say that?
Well, I shouldn't have to say that, but of course I believe that. It's totally unacceptable. And if you would see my statements that I made on Twitter at the time, and also my statement that I made in the Rose Garden, you would say it's one of the strongest statements you've ever seen. In addition to the speech I made in front of, I believe, the largest crowd I've ever spoken to, and I will tell you, nobody ever talks about that. They talk about a relatively small number of people that went to the Capitol, and in many cases were ushered in by the police. And as Nancy Pelosi said, it was her responsibility, not mine. She said that loud and clear. But the answer is, if the election is fair, free, and I want that more than anybody. And I'll tell you something. I wish he was a great president, because I wouldn't be here right now. I'd be at one of my many places enjoying myself. I wouldn't be under indictment because I wouldn't have been his political opponent, because he indicted me because I was his opponent. I wish he was a great president.
Documents
I
case
would
in Florida.
rather have that. I wouldn't be here. I don't mind being here. But the only reason I'm here is he's so bad as a president that I'm going to make America great again. We're going to make
first one of the night. Here we go.
MAGA.
right now. We're a seriously failing nation, and we're a failing nation because of him. His policies are so bad. His military policies are insane. They're insane. These are wars that will never end with him. He will drive us into World War III, and we're closer to World War III
This is
than
true.
anybody can imagine. We are very, very close to World War
Joe
III.
Biden
and he's
cannot
driving
control
us
the
there.
nuclear
And
arsenal.
Kim Jong-un.
This
and
man cannot
President
control
Xi of
nuclear
China,
weapons.
Kim Jong-un of North Korea, all of these, Putin, they don't respect him. They don't fear him. They have nothing going with this gentleman, and he's going to drive us into World War III.
Yeah.
You want a World War III, let him follow and win, and let Putin say, do what you want, NATO. Just do what you want.
Let
Just
Putin
think
say,
of
do what you want,
Article
NATO?
5.
What he's
Attack
wait,
on
what?
one
He
is
can't
attack
do
on
this.
all.
He cannot do
Required
this.
response. The idea, I can't think of a single major leader in the world who wouldn't trade places with the job I've done and what they've done. Because we are a powerful nation. We have wonderful people. It's because of the people, not me. It's because of the American people. They're capable of anything, and they step up when they're needed. And right now, we're needed. We're needed to protect the world because our own safety is at stake. And again, you want to have a war, just let Putin go ahead and take Kyiv, make sure they...
Who cares about Ukraine?
see
I
what
literally
happens
don't
in
care.
Poland, Hungary, and other places along that border. Then you have a war.
Cares about other people.
President Trump, as I come back to you for a follow-up, the question was, will you accept the results of this election, regardless of who wins?
Just to finish,
What do you mean, regardless
he
of who
said, if I might, Russia, they took a lot of land from Bush. They took a lot of land from Obama and Biden. They took no land, nothing from Trump, nothing. He knew not to do it. He's not going to play games with me. He knew that. I got along with him very well, but he knew not to play games. He took nothing from me. But now he's going to take the whole thing from this man right here. That's a war that should have never started. It would have never started ever with me. And he's going to take Ukraine. And, you know, you asked me a question before, would you do this? He's got us in such a bad position right now with Ukraine and Russia. because Ukraine's not winning that war. He said, I will never settle until such time. They're running out of people. They're running out of soldiers. They've lost so many people. It's so sad.
Stuck like that.
It is.
They've lost so many people, and they've lost those gorgeous cities with the
trench
golden
warfare.
domes that are
People with
1,000
autism,
women.
yeah.
All because
Down
of
syndrome
him
people,
and
it's very
stupid
sad.
decisions. Russia would have never attacked if I were
President Trump,
president.
the question
I honestly
was, will
think
you accept
Trump is the
results
only
of the
option to
election,
try to get the war to
regardless
end
of who wins, yes
with
or no?
Putin just
If
taking
it's
what
a
he's got,
fair,
keeping it,
legal,
and then the
good
rest of
election,
Ukraine becoming maybe part of
absolutely.
NATO. don't
I
know,
would have
but-
much rather accepted these, but the fraud and everything else was ridiculous. And if you want, we'll have a news conference on it in a week,
ask Biden the
or
same
we'll have
question
another
right
one
away.
of these in a
Seriously.
week. But I will absolutely. There's
So far,
nothing
it's
I'd
been, like,
rather
twice
do.
as
It
many
would be much
questions at
easier
Trump
for me to do
than
that.
Biden.
Then I'm running again. I wasn't really going to run until I saw the horrible job he did. He's destroying our country. I would be very happy to be someplace else, in a nice location someplace. And again, no indictments, no political opponent stuff, because it's the only way he thinks he can win. But unfortunately, it's driven up my numbers and driven them up to a very high level because the people understand it.
Yep.
Well, let's see what your numbers are when this election is over.
See what they are tomorrow,
Oh,
bro.
dude, right now.
Minor. When you lost the first time, you continued, you appealed and appealed to courts all across the country. Not one single court in America said any of your claims had any merit, state or local. None.
We just hit the 90-minute mark.
You
and they haven't
continue
taken
to
a
provoke.
break.
Yeah, this is the wrap-up point, huh?
About somehow there's all this
They're supposed to have 2 minutes
misrepresentation,
each
all
to
this
have a
stealing.
statement.
There's no evidence of that at all. And I tell you what, I doubt whether you'll accept it because you're such a whiner. The idea if you lose again, you accepting anything, you can't stand the loss. Something snapped in you when you lost the last time.
We'll be right back
There it
with
is.
more from the CNN presidential debate, live from Georgia.
All right, so the closing statements will likely be next. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you're ready. Talk about a wild night. I want to play. Let me pull up a clip for you. Greg Price had it. It's the greatest, one of the best moments from the debate. Let me grab this here. Oh, you know what? Actually, it's on mine, isn't it? Yeah, I think I retweeted it. Let me grab mine. I don't want to spoil it, so I don't want to say it right away. I'm gonna pull it up. I'm gonna play it for you right here. Where's the audio on this?
The total initiative relative to what we're going to do with more Border Patrol and more asylum officers.
President Trump?
Side of muffins?
I really don't know what he said at the end of that sentence. I don't think he knows what he said either. Look.
That's it. That's it. The golf swing one was good too. The debating over who his handicap. That's the biggest lie. A 6. What do you say? Maybe an 8.
He's like, I've seen your swing.
Yeah.
I also like that Trump has a catch. Like all good superheroes need a catchphrase, and Trump is literally able to drop in. We're going to make America great again. Yep. It's the chorus that he can effectively return to, the same way he's returning to the border over and over again. He's returning to the economy. Biden is sort of like, that guy's really bad. Can you believe whatever? Like he just falls apart at the end of sentences, and it's showing the weakness of his leadership, right? Like it feels uncomfortable at times because he is so slurred. It feels like elder abuse, but then also like this guy is lying.
Dude, I was hoping so much in this past week that we were going to get a Trump moment where he just goes, "What?" Like, because you just don't know what Biden said, but he did it way better than I ever expected. Yeah. I really don't know what he just said, and I don't think he does either.
Do you think there'll be a second debate after this?
With some other candidate?
There's supposed to be one in September, and that's what I find fascinating. Like, if this is Joe Biden right now, even the video that Tim played in the other commercial break, like, Joe Biden has a slightly raspy voice, but it's not like this, and it's not so slurred. He doesn't seem to be sitting hunched. Even in that video, he's sitting back. He's projecting confidence. I mean, he's talking about a story about, telling Ukraine they have to fire that prosecutor. So he did feel confident.
Real
it's
quick,
very different
Biden
right now.
Biden has recovered a little bit in the prediction markets. He's currently sitting at 75% to Newsom 16 as for who will be the Democrat nominee, and then for the president, he's dropped 7. Trump is at 59. So Biden's recovered a little bit since the worst point of this debate.
I've seen Newsom in person at the GOP debate in California when he showed up, and despite being a demon in a skin suit, everyone there loved him. Even like Hannity, he was so charming to all these people. I couldn't believe it. I could see him taking over.
I don't think Biden will give up his position, and I don't think the people, because all of these political people ultimately have chiefs of staff, they have advisors, whatever, who will need that body to be in the seat at the end of the day. So anyone who's supporting Biden, literally propping him up right now, they aren't going to let him drop out unless it's absolutely impossible to keep him going. I mean, they are fielding someone who seems to be getting confused with every sentence, who is actually slurring, who looks fatigued. Like it's not projecting strength, and they're still like, we're gonna see this through.
Well, the Clintons and the Obamas hate Joe Biden supposedly behind the scenes. I mean,
They're not coming out and publicly defending him very, very often, right?
Yeah.
They will when really pushed. They'll occasionally go to a fundraiser, but it does not seem to be a warm relationship at all. And again, people will point out that various people, including J.D. Vance, have been critical of Trump at times, but ultimately Trump is projecting leadership.
All right, here we go.
It is now time for the candidates to deliver their closing statements as predetermined by a coin toss. We're going to begin with you, President
Coin toss, eh?
Biden. You have 2 minutes.
We've made significant progress from the debacle that was left by President Trump in his last term. We find ourselves in a situation where, number one, we have to make sure that we have a fair tax system. I ask anyone out there in the audience or anyone out watching this debate, do you think the tax system is fair? The fact is that I said nobody even making under $400,000 had a single penny increase in their taxes, and will not. And if I'm reelected, that'll be the case again. But this guy has increased your taxes because of the deficit. Number one, he's increased inflation because of the debacle he left after the way he handled the pandemic. And he finds himself in a position where he now wants to tax you more by putting a 10% tariff on everything that comes into the United States of America. What I did, for example, he wants to get rid of the ability of Medicare for us to be able to negotiate drug prices with the big pharma companies. Well, guess what? We got it down to $35 for insulin instead of $400. No more than $2,000 for every senior, no matter how much prescription they need. You know what that did? That reduced the federal debt by $160 billion over 10 years because
Over
the
10
government doesn't
years.
have to pay the exorbitant prices. I'm going to make that available
Irrelevant.
to every senior all along, it's happening now, and everybody in America. He wants to get rid of that. I'm going to make sure that we have child care. We're going to significantly increase the credits people have for child care. I'm going to make sure we do something about what we're doing on lead pipes and all the things that are causing health problems for people across the country. We're going to continue to fight to bring down inflation and give people a break.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump, you now have 2 minutes for your closing statement.
Like so many politicians, this man is just a complainer. He said, we want to do this, we want to do that, we want to get rid of this tax, that tax. But he doesn't do anything. All he does is make our country unsafe by allowing millions and millions of people to pour in. Our military doesn't respect him. We look like fools in Afghanistan. We didn't stop Israel. It was such a horrible thing that would have never happened. It should have never happened. Iran was broke. Anybody that did business with Iran, including China, they couldn't do business with the United States. They all passed. Iran was broke. They had no money for Hamas or Hezbollah, for terror, no money whatsoever. Again, Ukraine should have never happened. He talks about all this stuff, but he didn't do it. For 3.5 years, we're living in hell. We have the Palestinians and we have everybody else rioting all over the place. You talk about Charlottesville. This is 100 times Charlottesville, 1,000 times. The whole country is exploding because of you, because they don't respect you, and they have to respect their president, and they don't respect you throughout the world. What we did was incredible. We rebuilt the military. We got the largest tax cut in history, the largest regulation cut in history. The reason he's got jobs is because I cut the regulations that gave jobs, but he's putting a lot of those regulations back on. All of the things that we've done, nobody's never seen anything like. Even from a medical standpoint, right to try, where we can try space-age materials instead of going to Asia or going to Europe and trying to get when you're terminally ill. Now you can go and you can get something. You sign a document. They've been trying to get it for 42 years. But you know what we did for the military was incredible. Choice for our soldiers, where our soldiers, instead of waiting for 3 months to see a doctor, can go out and get themselves fixed up and readied up and take care of themselves, and they're living. And that's why I had the highest approval rating in the history of the VA. So all of these things, we're in a failing nation, but it's not going to be failing anymore. We're going to make it great again.
It's a much more positive
Thank you,
message.
former President
I
Trump.
needed that.
President Biden, stay with us because we have full analysis of this debate. Anderson Cooper and Aaron Burnett starts now on CNN.
Well, I actually would like to give a shout out and a thank you to CNN for hosting this. I think the moderators kept it chill. They stayed out of it. It does seem like they did try to help Biden in some capacity, only not necessarily politically, but because the dude was struggling. That being said, by putting this debate on, Biden's numbers are tanking. Yeah, and I'm happy with it.
Yeah, it does seem at times that they were like thank you so much because you finished talking. I can't imagine it was comfortable for them. Like if I feel uncomfortable watching him stutter and stop and start from far away, it must be very uncomfortable in the room. I think that it will be interesting to see if and how Joe Biden reacts in the September debate, because this was not good.
He won't be.
All right. So that's it for the debate. So make sure you can follow me on X at Timcast. We're also live on rumble.com/Timcast IRL. You can follow me on Instagram as well. I just want to give a shout out as the debate is wrapping up. Many people are going to start heading to bed. Become a member at timcast.com. We'll stay live for a few more minutes to kind of give our thoughts and kind of our final word on this. Become a member at timcast.com to support our work directly. Head over there. We normally do Monday through Thursday members only call-in shows. So when we have guests on, you can actually submit questions through our Discord. Join the show with us Monday through Thursday at 10 p.m. And memberships are basically how we run everything. So if you like the show, if you want to see more, election season is just ramping up. I wish they would do more debates, but I'm kind of convinced that I don't know how we can handle this in the long run. And so I do want to mention one thing, and then we'll go around for final thoughts. Trump betting odds spiked, if you want to pull this up, as it was earlier, still sitting at 18.1. These are the aggregate betting odds across the board for BetOnline, Betfair, Bovada, Polymarket, Predicted, and SmartGets. Donald Trump skyrocketing. So the people who got their bets in early are probably very happy with where things are trending. And could this be the wisdom of the crowds? You guys want to jump in and we'll give our final thoughts as we wrap this show up?
I've been reading some of the stuff that people are saying on Twitter. The only people that are saying anything positive about Biden are people that are absolutely and completely in the bag for Biden. Like the only people that won't acknowledge this, that they won't they won't talk about Biden, and they'll just say, oh, Trump's so bad, Trump's so bad. If you believe Trump is bad, that's perfectly fine. At least Trump is cognizant enough to know if he was looking at a nuclear missile or if he's looking at a school bus. Okay? You cannot allow Joe Biden to have control of the nuclear weapons.
I need to play this 40-second clip real quick. It's one of the most important moments outside of the jokes and everything. Let me play this for you. Okay, let me start over. It's muted. There we go.
Child care, elder care, making sure that we continue to strengthen our healthcare system, making sure that we're able to make every single solitary person eligible for what I've been able to do with the with the COVID. With dealing with everything we have to do with. Look, if we finally beat Medicare.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump.
What? That was what I was saying. CNN jumping in.
Well, he's right. He did beat Medicare. He beat it to death. And it's destroying Medicare.
So this was, they're saying it's 15 seconds of Biden just spinning out and CNN having to intervene.
Yeah.
And listen to the last thing he said.
If we finally beat Medicare.
Thank you, President Biden.
That was it?
Yeah.
And then Trump?
Well, he's right. He did beat Medicare. He beat it to death.
They tried to shut him up, and he was still funny.
That moment right there. These are big moments. We knew there were going to be it was going to be a freeze up. Biden jumped on it with a zinger. CNN had to intervene to help Joe Biden. And that's what I meant. The times they helped him, it wasn't so much to attack Trump like we've seen in the past. It was because Biden stopped functioning and they had no choice. I just want to say this. My sympathies to CNN. As a moderator of a show every night, I know the difficulties of when people stop talking. And what do you do with tens of millions or more watching and there's dead air with Biden going, you're like, thank you, Trump, please talk. Yeah.
And Trump is like, yes, I don't worry. I definitely can handle this.
Well, what blows my mind is the most shocking lie of the entire night is that Joe Biden has a 6 handicap on the golf course. I mean,
that was amazing. And then Trump's like, that's a lie. Maybe an 8.
Yeah.
I just think Joe Biden inspires no hope, and he symbolizes death and despair. And his whole career has been that way. He's used grief. He's exploited his own grief throughout his entire career. And I truly see, like, it's hard for me to imagine the election because we're in such an absurd world. I see him bowing out, trying to do it gracefully, appealing to sympathies of the people, saying, as, you know, summoning all the grief of his entire career and being like, I'm going to bow out now because I'm too old. I'm going to take care of my family. I'm going to move on to the next people to inspire hope. That's the only thing I imagine happening. Him bowing out, trying to make it sound stoic.
Tomorrow's Timcast IRL, tomorrow at 8 p.m., it's probably going to be wild. The analysis, the polling, we are going to start getting first responses from focus groups. Like even Frank Luntz's focus group was like, no Biden. This is incredible stuff. It is going to be a new day tomorrow. That's why many people are outright saying, Newsom, like this is going to be it. So let's continue final thoughts and then chat your stuff out. Let's roll.
So the New York Times published this. This is a disaster piece 30 minutes into the debate. I'm hearing high anxiety from Democrats over Biden's debate performance. This is an absolute unmitigated disaster. And if you're any of for Biden, if you're out there defending Biden, you need to stop because you are making an absolute idiot of yourself. No one will respect your opinion in the future because they're going to look at you and say that you are lying just like the media. And in a time when Americans have lost trust in every institution, the government, the media, even the military, don't align yourself with the people that are saying, no, Joe Biden is fine. Don't align yourself with the people that can't see the emperor has no clothes.
Right. Joe Biden's whole career right now, or at least his whole presidency, is about manipulating and gaslighting the American public. And we saw that over and over again in this debate. When Trump references the girls who have been murdered by illegal immigrants and a couple other things, and Joe Biden responds, he just lied about everything. He won't even acknowledge tragedy that occurs in America every single day. He also weirdly tried to rope in Lake and Riley into this conversation about abortion, and then mentions that people get raped by their in-laws. I mean, it doesn't make any sense.
Weird.
And at its most benign, it's that he is actually cognitively impaired to the point where he cannot really keep the story straight. He doesn't know what he's saying. The most malicious is that he is actually trying to terrify all of you into voting for him again. And that's just something you shouldn't put up with.
The fact that he's trying to scare Americans into voting and the fact that he's so incompetent, unable to do the job. And again, I know that I sound like a broken record, but the two biggest issues that we have are the fact that he's in charge of nuclear weapons and that they have no plan to deal with the debt, which now has $1 trillion a year in interest alone. We pay more in interest on our national debt than we pay for the military. So all you people that get your panties in a bunch because there's military bases all over the world, we're paying more money to service the debt because of unfunded liabilities, because of Medicare and Medicaid. So all of the stuff that you whine about when you're talking about, we're sending money to Israel, we're spending money to Ukraine. Yeah, I don't want to send it either, but if you don't take care of the debt, you're not taking care of anything.
We are going to wrap things up. So make sure you smash that like button. Share the show, retweet it if you're on X. I guess that's repost now. You can follow me on X at Timcast, Instagram as well. We had tremendous success with our first ever multi-stream, reaching about 30 megabits per second up, which is tremendous because we're really pushing the system. But I think it worked out really, really well to everybody who watched on Rumble and X. Shout out to Rumble, shout out to X, and YouTube. Looks like the show went off without a hitch. We had a tremendous viewership.
121,000 now.
120. We hit around 300 and some odd thousand concurrents across the board, and like 1.5 million total for the show. But that's all about you guys who are watching. Head over to timcast.com, click join us, become a member. That's how we run this show. And I think the success here we've seen with multi-streaming is very, very. It's indicative of a very positive future in how we're going to be handling things. I'm really, really impressed with the X performance, where we have over 750,000 views on the stream with over 1 million on the post itself. It's absolutely amazing. And the response and the retweets, you guys rock. But again, timcast.com, become a member. Tomorrow morning, we have the Culture War, where Alex, we're going to be talking to a very special guest.
London Roberts, the baby mama of Hunter Biden's freaking baby. I mean,
it's going to be interesting. It'll be interesting. It'll be reasonable. It'll be academic. So again,
very academic.
Smash that like button, become a member, and share the show with your friends. Alex, do you want to shout anything out?
Yes, guys, go to Cash Brew, get some Primetime 2-time grind coffee, and guys, support me. Follow me on Twitter, YouTube, Primetime with Alex Stein.
Sweet. It's awesome to be here. You can find me at Shane Cashman everywhere online, and the show is Inverted World Live. You can find on YouTube Tales from the Inverted World. We are live on Sundays at 6 p.m. See you there.
I am Phil That Remains on Twix. I'm Phil That Remains Official on Instagram. The band is All That Remains. You can check us out this summer on the Destroy All Enemies tour. We're going to be on tour with Megadeth and Mudvayne. You can check out our new single. The song is called Let You Go. It's available on Spotify, Apple Music, Pandora, Amazon Music, YouTube, Deezer, you know, the internet. And don't forget, the left lane is for crying.
Quick, Serge, mute his mic so I can talk now. I'm Hannah Claire Brimla. I'm a writer for SCNR.com. That's Scanner News. Follow all of our work at Timcast News on Twitter and Instagram. I'm on Twitter at Hannah Claire B. I'm on Instagram at hannahclaire.b. Guys, thanks for joining us tonight. It's been quite a road we've been on. Bye, Serge.
See you guys. Thanks for checking in. Peace out.
It's going to get wild in the next couple of months. We got 4 months.
2 weeks. 2 weeks from now, Trump gets sentenced.
2 weeks from now, he gets sentenced, and we will be live at the RNC. We've got a live show. Tickets are available on timcast.com, probably sold out already because it's a very small audience. We're going to have Mike Lindell. We have a series of shows throughout the week at the RNC in Milwaukee. It's going to be amazing. Thanks for hanging out, and we will see you all tomorrow night.